30th at 7 p.m. I will call the meeting of the Bourne Select Board to order. Note this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge it at this time. Michael Roush. Use of flash photography during Select Board meetings is prohibited. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the conference line 1-929-205-6099. The Zoom meeting ID is 869-5775-5505. The password is Bourne, B-O-U-R-N-E, all uppercase. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. All items within the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes. We are calling the public session back into open session after meeting in executive session. We begin with the moment of silence to recognize our troops and public safety personnel. Next item is salute to the flag, and we have our Girl Scout Lily to lead us in the salute. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will note that our town administrator is on Zoom this evening, and Select Board Meyer is the moderator of the Buzzards Bay Water District, which has their annual meeting this evening. He expects to be here by about 7:15 as soon as that meeting concludes. Next is reading of the Select Board vision and mission statements, and Jared has offered this evening.
Bourne is a proud community that embraces change while respecting the rich heritage of the town and its villages. It is a municipality based on strong fiscal government with a durable economy that recognizes the rights of all citizens, respects the environment, especially the coastal areas of the community, and the amenities that it affords. Bourne embraces excellent education and offers to citizens a healthy, active lifestyle. Bourne will maximize opportunities for social and economic development while retaining an attractive, sustainable, and secure coastline and environment for the enjoyment of residents and visitors. Through responsible and professional leadership and in partnership with others, Bourne will strive to improve the quality of life for all residents living and working in the larger community.
Thank you. Next item is report out on executive session. The Select Board had two items to discuss in an executive session, and we did vote to accept an agreement of judgment on the Thomas F. Swartz versus the Town Fire Department case, which should complete all the litigation with this case. The second item was to discuss the Barnstable County land in Pecasset, and we are pleased to note that the board has voted unanimously to accept the counter's offer to sell the property at 0 County Road and 100 Julius Kelly Lane in Bourne, containing a total of 65 acres more or less, to sell the property to the town of Bourne for $730,000, subject to the parties entering into a final purchase and sale agreement acceptable to each party. So this is a great step for the town. We've been working on it for a while, and it's a great acquisition for the town. Next item on the agenda is public comments on non-agenda items. Public comments are allowed for up to a total of 12 minutes at the beginning of each meeting. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes for comment. Board members are unable to respond due to posting requirements of the open meeting law. Is there anyone signed up for public comment on non-agenda items? Okay, seeing none. Next item is community shout out and recognition. I want to recognize Philip Hare, who was a consultant to the town of Bourne for planning, who passed away recently. And he was our consultant for planning with the town before we had a town planner. And he was a great help to the town at that time. Our major shout out and recognition tonight is to the Girl Scout Troop 67942 for their Gold Award project, which is the next item on the agenda. So welcome. Lily, could you introduce yourself and tell us about your project?
Yeah, hello. My name is Lily Adams of GSEMA Troop 67942, and for the past 9 years, I have been a Girl Scout. Recently, for the past year, I have been working towards my Gold Award, the highest award Girl Scouts has to offer. While I was thinking of ideas for this project, a tragedy struck in Orleans. It was a very cold day in January 2023 when a house caught on fire. The family who resided there included a young boy with autism. As their home was burning, his parents got him out of the house. However, as fire trucks and police cars began to roll on the scene, the lights and sirens from said vehicles scared the boy back into the flaming house. Sadly, that young child passed. In the same month, a few days later, my brother was diagnosed with autism. So after this news, I sat down across from my teary-eyed mother and realized why she was worried. That could be my little brother. So I knew immediately that something had to be done to prevent this from happening. I met with first responders in March of 2023 and discussed the possibility of a joint communication system. The outcome of that meeting was that the police chief would create a form that I could disperse to local areas, such as post offices and the Jonathan Bourne Public Library. But this form isn't just for autism. It's for people of all ages and backgrounds who may require non-typical assistance in a dangerous or high-stress situation. This is such an important matter because it is about the safety of yourself or a loved one. In April of 2024, after much work and communication between the police chief and I, the form is now available and I have some here. Here's where you come in. Fill out this form for our first responders to get a better understanding of your needs in an emergency situation. After the form is filled out, you must return it to the police department. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, thank you. This is a great project. I think you did a really great job. She provided the form, and I think she's leaving some on the table in case anyone likes them. So this is a lot of work, and congratulations on a job well done. Thanks. Thank you very much. Any comments from the community or the other folks?
I mean, it's amazing, great work. I mean, it's really awesome to see someone her age and doing this type of work now, and it's such a meaningful, such meaning behind it. So congratulations, well done.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, great initiative, great project, and well thought out, and it's especially good that it touches at home for you. So well done.
Thank you very much. And thank you for bringing it to us and to the board, and so the public could become aware that it's available and to help in the disbursement of the important message. Thank you. Okay, next item is legislative update and discussion with federal, state, and county delegation members. And we have a full audience here tonight, and we're really glad to have them here. So we are going to begin with Senator Markey's office. You want to come up to the podium? Ben and Jim, and who's speaking?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. By the way, Lily, is it Lily? Amazing job, by the way. Thank you for all that you do. Appreciate it. Good evening, Chair Mastrangelo, Vice Chair Ferretti, Member Serenian, and McDonald, and I know Peter Meyer had texted me, so I'm sure he'll be on his way.
He's the moderator of the Buzzards Bay Water District. Their meeting is tonight at like 7 o'clock. He says it's usually 9 minutes, and he expects to be here.
That's a good meeting.
The good part of Tommy here, he said that we should try to filibuster and speak for 10 minutes, so and Town Administrator McCollum, thank you. My name is Jim Cantwell. I have the esteemed honor to serve as a State Director for Senator Ed Markey. Equally important, by the way, I was a Select Board member for Marshfield, so we know of the amazing work that you all do, and I had the great pleasure of, and I'll be speaking to some of the members of our legislature who I had the great honor to serve with as well. I'm joined tonight, as you know, from Ben Thomas, who was here last year with us, and he's the Senator's Regional Director for this entire congressional district. Ben grew up just down the street in Wareham, and to prove his local cred, he wanted me to relate that on the way over here, Ben was relating that even with the fierce Bourne and Wareham rivalry, he wants you to know that the Canalmen will not hold that against any of us here. And that he claims that he never participated in the senior year ritual of graffitiing the rock in front of Bourne High School. He wants the minutes of this meeting to record that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And anyway, we're so pleased to be able to join you here tonight on behalf of Senator Markey. Before we begin, Senator Markey asked that we recognize just a number of folks, not only yourselves with the great work that you're doing locally, but we saw coming in Senator Sue Moran, his very close friend, Representative Steve Exaros, David Vieira, with whom I serve with both of them, amazing folks. Tommy Kahir right behind me, the former state representatives. Last year, I know we had County Commissioners Mark Forrest, Sheila Lyons, and Ron Bergstrom who were here with us. We want to thank them for their service. Sheriff Buckley, DA Rob Galabois, Christy Senatori from the Cape Cod Commission, that is, and Paul Niedzwiecki of the Chamber, with whom we just met this week, by the way, talking of one of the projects, the Bourne Bridges. So the statement for Senator Markey begins as follows. Good evening to all the members of our board, Bourne Select Board. I wish that I could join you in person, but I'm also so glad to have the opportunity to advocate for the town of Bourne with my friends and close colleagues, Senator Elizabeth Warren and Congressman Bill Keating. Our municipal leaders are the engine that propels the Commonwealth forward, and as we confront seemingly intractable challenges, you and your colleagues, along with folks throughout all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts, you stand as the bastions of hope for local governance and for people who put their faith in you to make sure you do so many great things for our Bourne community. We, along with the entire congressional delegation, have worked to help turn your visions into reality. But as we all know, a vision without funding is an hallucination. That's precisely why Congress and the Biden-Harris administration have made historic federal investments in Massachusetts. The COVID-era relief packages have delivered more than $7 million in funding here for the town of Bourne. And because of the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act, opportunities abound for Bourne to drive investments in roads, bridges, coastal infrastructure, and the blue economy. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act alone guarantees $9.3 billion for Massachusetts through 2027. With that kind of money, we could almost rebuild the New England Patriots.
Almost.
Thanks, Steve. Steve's here just, thank you, bud. Thank you, thanks. Those investments, by the way, are already set to deliver for Bourne through rail projects for routes 6 and 25, those projects, that is, but also the Bourne Rail Trail. Of significance, the law created the pathway for replacement of the Bourne and Sagamore bridges, which I know are so important, and we were here last year to talk about. Senator Warren, who will be hearing from Caleb, Congressman Keating, we'll hear from Mike Jackman as well, and the Senator, they were so proud to advocate for $372 million grant thus far through the mega grant program that was announced in December, then to deliver another $350 million for the bridges through the fiscal year 2024. With their unwavering advocacy to the White House, the U.S. DOT, and Secretary Buttigieg, MassDOT is now hot on the trail for billions more for the bridge investment program. The point is, we're not going to stop until we have 2 brand-new shiny bridges, one here for Bourne and the Sagamore Bridge.
Yeah.
Thanks, George. We brought along friends. But moving on to it, recognizing the federal windfall of funding provided through the infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act, that can't get caught up in the trees, it must reach to the grassroots. The senator says, my Massachusetts and D.C. teams run monthly office hours. Madam Chairman, I think you've been on several of them. It's for municipal leaders to discuss local projects and how they intersect with federal grant opportunities. We'll leave that information because we have another one coming up, and we would welcome all who are here and all to join as we talk about ways to get our fair share of the billions of dollars that have been made available through the great work of Senator Warren, Senator Markey, and Congressman Keating. He goes on to say, it's also why I've worked to convene leaders from agencies like the U.S. Department of Treasury, EPA, and NOAA to present federal opportunities and to talk with local officials. As priorities arise, we want to be there for you as we work together to deliver new investments in Bourne, the Cape, and the Commonwealth. You and your teams, I mentioned the monthly office hours, but also for coastal communities, we want to point out that we know of unique challenges, and one being coastal economies. to deliver funding to ensure our marine highways are maintained and improved. That's why not only did the Senator talk about getting $17 billion for the Army Corps of Engineers to support operations, maintenance, and construction projects, but it's also why, just this past December, really, Ben Thomas here was the brains behind the whole organization of convening a dredging summit in partnership with Mark Forrest from the County Commission and the entire county's dredging program to bring all of the relevant local, state, and federal agencies together to discuss challenges and opportunities for improving the permitting process for towns like Bourne. In light of other concerns we heard from you just last year, the Senator convened and brought together improvements for the 2024 Water Resources and Development Act. It's called WRDA, to increase resources that you identified for us last year and to improve the permitting process for Cape Cod dredging projects in collaboration with Senator Warren. To close, over the last 3 years, the Senator says, I've heard from many communities along the Cape expressing very large and significant concerns about the ongoing decommissioning of the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Plant. I know, Madam Chairman, you brought that up last year, especially relating to the potential discharge of radioactive wastewater currently stored at Pilgrim. Today, in light of those concerns, Senator Markey wrote a letter with Senator Warren and Congressman Keating to the CEO of Holtec, the company responsible for decommissioning of Pilgrim, urging the company to halt any plans of discharging radioactive wastewater into Cape Cod Bay or evaporating water into the air. We urged Holtec to meaningfully engage with your community and all other stakeholders to have a community-driven approach for dispositioning of that wastewater in a manner that respects input from residents, state and local officials, marine scientists, and public health experts. The point is, no matter the challenge, Senator Markey concludes he's honored to be your partner in the United States Senate and to fight for this great community. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come on behalf of Senator Markey to be here. Both my colleagues will have words from their bosses, and we remain here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? No. Oh. Thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate it. Great update. Okay. Our next update would be from Senator Warren's office, and I think Caleb White is here. And Mr. Myers here right on time.
Thank you.
Just in time, just in time. Awesome. Well, thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Caleb White. I serve as Regional Director for the South Coast Cape and Islands for Senator Warren, and not Weymouth or Wareham, but Sandwich. I'm right next door as well, born and raised, so very familiar with this area. As Jim said, we work really closely on the federal level. I think you'll hear a lot of overlap between three of us for the projects that we've been working on. We're very fortunate to have an extremely strong federal delegation that works together, and an even better state delegation that works right there with us alongside. I've worked with many of you here in this room today and on Zoom as well. Bourne has a really strong community, and you guys get a lot done down here. So excited to report on some of the things my boss has been working on nationally, Massachusetts-wise, and even locally as well. So nationally, the Senator has continued to put pressure on corporations that have repeatedly put profits over the safety and protection of working people. In recent months, she's sent letters to companies such as H&R Block about their lack of security for their customer-sensitive information. For years, the Senator has pushed for free and accessible services for taxpayers to file directly with the IRS. And this year, the agency has just announced a pilot program to file directly with the IRS. This is known as the IRS Direct File. And this year, millions across the country and in Massachusetts will have the ability to avoid upcharges from private companies and file directly with the IRS. So that was a big win for her on that one. And she is working neck and neck with workers across the country, with the United Auto Workers Union strike in Mansfield. She was walking lines, and the SAG-AFTRA walks as well up in Boston. She's fought for better access for hearing aids and prescription medication availability. With the over-the-counter hearing aids was a massive win for us last year, and very happy to be able to get that for millions of people across the country. And she's also pushed hard for Student loan forgiveness, she's pushed the president, Department of Education, and various student loan servicers, and as a result, we've seen over $4 million borrowers across the country receive some form of student loan cancellation, which is a huge success. In Massachusetts, Senator Warren has worked with municipalities to increase and improve infrastructure, respond to natural disasters, and hold large corporations accountable. Through the intense storms of last summer, Senator Warren, alongside Senator Markey, called on the Department of Agriculture to increase aid to farmers impacted by the devastating floods. Thanks in part to these efforts, farmers were eventually able to tap into low-interest loans, while both senators continue to push for even more aid. She's joined letters of support for infrastructure projects throughout the state through programs like the Department of Transportation's Strengthening Mobility and Revolutionizing Transportation Grant, or the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods Grant. Most recently, she's been working hard to stay on top of the Steward healthcare system crisis and the lack of care that they've shown for their people. Senator Warren is focused on bringing home federal dollars to Massachusetts. In February of this year, a report titled The Economic Impact of Federal Investments in Massachusetts highlights over $50 billion she's brought to Massachusetts since first taking office in 2013. This includes major wins for funding for the Cape Cod Bridge Replacement Project, as Jim just recently mentioned. The bridge replacement project has been one of the highest priorities for the senator and the largest infrastructure project in Massachusetts. As Jim said, a lot of this might be restated, but alongside Senator Markey and Congressman Keating, fought hard for funding and efficient planning of this massive undertaking. Since the last time we met, the project received $372 million through the Multimodal Project Discretionary Grant Program and $350 million directly from Congress. We're currently awaiting the remaining funding through the Bridge Investment Program, or BIP, but the senator has made lots of calls, has been in a lot of people's ears on this one, and we've also had a huge showing from not just the regional delegation, but the entire Massachusetts delegation on letters to Secretary Buttigieg for the importance of this project. In addition to this funding, the senator and the delegation have made tangible efforts to bring awareness to this project through as many avenues as possible. In October 2023, just down the road from where we are tonight at Mass Maritime, we hosted then Senior Advisor to President Biden, Mitch Landrieu, to emphasize the importance of this project. We were joined by the entire federal delegation, a lot of the folks in this room here tonight, the board, and Marlene McCollum, administrator, and it was a really great showing. We had a lot of robust conversation, and it was a direct line to the White House, which was an amazing opportunity to be able to do right in the backyard with the bridge in sight from where we were hosting the event. Locally, the delegation has been very active in the Pilgrim Power Station decommissioning project, again, as Jim had mentioned. All three of our offices are constantly in contact with the relevant federal agencies, local community stakeholders, doctors, experts, trying to understand the full scope of risks and what needs to be taken into consideration for this project. We are constantly writing letters to Holtec, looking for more accountability, more answers, and more transparency, which they continue to hang their hat on, and we are holding them very much accountable to that as well. Finally, our offices are also engaged in various dredging projects on and around the Cape Cod area. We know and understand the need for safe and efficient water travel around this region. We're, again, in constant communication with folks at the Army Corps of Engineers, the county, individual harbor masters. As Jim highlighted, the Dredge Summit that Ben put on was a very, very strong success, had a really great showing, and was able to kind of streamline all the various needs we see around the Cape for such an important topic. So clearly, no shortage of work to be done federally in Massachusetts or in the region, but I wanted to thank each and every one of you in attendance here tonight for your role in each of those projects. It is no easy feat to do organizing alone, let alone actually acting on it. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to everyone in this room, to Marlene McCollum, who's been a great partner in our work on the Bridges project, to the state delegation in the room here tonight, and all the nonprofit leaders and everybody. Just really wanted to thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman, for organizing this and getting everyone in the room. It is like herding cats to get politicians in a room. So kudos to you for getting us all here tonight. Looking forward to any questions folks have, chatting with people later, and thank you again.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'm going to save mine till the end.
Thank you very much. That's a lot to do. We appreciate it. All right, next. Representative Bill Keating, Michael Jackman. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the members of the board for having us here today. Selectman Meyer, you missed Jim Cantwell's presentation. I really recommend you watch the Zoom because it was very compelling. I have it on video. Yeah.
I wouldn't
If you have trouble sleeping some nights. We're pleased to be here tonight to give this report. Without saying ditto, I just can't stress how closely in step the two senators are with our office and Congressman Keating on all these priorities, especially the bridges. It's his biggest priority as a legislator for funding for Massachusetts. And Caleb mentioned this, but I think it's important to note that it's a huge priority for the entire House delegation as well. We were lucky to have Chairman Neal when the previous Congress to take a leadership role and to really work with the entire delegation to get a lot of the funding that Jim and Caleb both talked about came out of the spending bills and the infrastructure bills that were passed during that Congress. So it's really important that we work together and speak with one voice on how important these issues are. Now, Ben, is from Wareham, and Caleb is the next town over, but Bill Keating, as you know, is a Bourne resident. So I feel like I have to say that. He would be here tonight, except that the House is in session, so he's down in D.C. He was here last Friday. We had some meetings. He got back from Ukraine for a congressional delegation, meeting with President Zelensky, and one of his first meetings was right here, and it was about the bridges. So as part of the meeting, he was able to tour the senior center and meet the director, and so that was a nice occasion. Obviously, a beautiful facility here, and we're very proud to be able to use it. A few local things I just wanted to talk about. One thing that's very dear to me and that I'm responsible for in the office is our Service Academy nomination program. Members of Congress have the responsibility of nominating candidates to the Military Academy at West Point, the U.S. Naval Academy, U.S. Air Force Academy, and the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point. And it's an annual process. We work on every class, graduating class from the local high schools, and young people who are interested in serving their country in that way, in that leadership role, have the opportunity to apply to us, and the Senator's offices as well, to get a nomination and hopefully get appointment from the Academy. It's a very competitive process. We actually hold an information night every year, and it's always the first Friday in May, which happens to be this Friday, and we hold it right down at Massachusetts Maritime Academy, which is central to our district because we extend all the way to New Bedford and up to Situate, Cohasset area, and of course out to Provincetown and the island. So this is a great location. We really are the fulcrum of our district, so it's really great that we're here tonight to talk about these issues. Just a few other things I wanted to mention that since the last time I was here that the Congressman has sponsored across the district. He held a housing forum back in, actually almost a year ago now, in April last year, over at UMass Dartmouth with Housing and Urban Development Department on the federal level, bringing resources together to talk about the housing crisis and what can be done to work together to move that ball forward. And it's all throughout the district, that's a huge issue and something that we think there's a lot of room to work together with assets and resources that can be leveraged. And last October, we had a harm reduction summit, also at UMass Dartmouth, for reducing the harm from drug substances. Fentanyl has been a real scourge here all throughout Massachusetts, especially in our district. We're working locally. I see Beth Albert here. Miss Beth. Oh, hi, Beth. Beth was the former Director of Human Services for Barnstable County, now the Director of the Executive Director of the Commission, of the county, excuse me. But Beth and I work together on the Regional Substance Abuse Council, a really important effort here on the Cape. But we're trying to support as many efforts as we can all across the district for local solutions to the problems that people are seeing. Glad to see Tomke here. I know that Jim mentioned the rail trail. Bill is not only an enthusiastic supporter, but he's an abutter to the rail trail, so it's a project that's near and dear to his heart. So I would also say just we're available as a resource when federal issues arise. We work closely with the state delegation. We're great to see all the state reps and Senator Moran here as well. But we really want to keep the lines of communication open. I feel like the federal assets here in Bourne, the Army Corps, the Coast Guard, there's been, over the 14 years that I've been working for Bill in Congress, there's been an improvement in the level of communication. We want to see that continue. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if there's any kind of issue with that kind of level of communication. I think that's an important thing to emphasize. And with that, I say thank you, and we'll take any questions anyone might have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Wait to the end. Good, till the end.
I want to make a comment just before we move on to the state delegation, that the federal delegation works so well together. I mean, you really all have to be complimented, the senators and Representative Keating and all the staff. You really do a great job of coordinating everything and being a united voice for Massachusetts. And I think that's a really, really important thing. And I think we're blessed to have legislators that are doing that.
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning when I'm up here and not when Jim.
I love it. Funny.
All right, thank you. Next, we're going to move to our state delegation, and we'll begin with our state senator, Sue Moran.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. You know, it's quite a showing of incredible effort and really partnership. I don't know of another board that actually gets the entire federal, county, and state delegation together. And I really have to mention how emblematic that is about the way we all work together. I mean, I found myself sitting here saying, wow, we should all go and just sort of have a social hour after this, because there's just, you know, these are people we really all respect, and there's no one here I couldn't just call on a dime, and of course, folks.
Paying, by the way.
You know, I want to talk to start off with the other side of the bridges issue, and that really has been the nuts and bolts conversation that I've really been leading every couple of weeks with the Board of Selectmen here, Chief Esop in particular, members of the delegation. And this is really the first time that the bridge fixes have really had a regular communication with DOT about issues that come up that really hit home, whether it's getting kids to school on time, whether it's how do we move emergency vehicles. I mean, the Bourne is kind of the welcome threshold of the Cape, and it's really an incredibly unique position that carries with it also some responsibilities. And what we've tried to do lately is also impress upon the state and also folks that come through here how special Bourne is in terms of economic development needs. And I've got to really credit the Board of Selectmen with leading that policy to, as we see the community grow in an incredibly thoughtful way. And it really does start at the bridges and going forward with two of the most major infrastructure projects in the country that the federal delegation is really pushing for hard and doing a terrific job. You know, we want to be sure that we kind of, you know, put a template out moving forward, that as the projects get even bigger, there is open communication, and we sort of have, you know, well-worn tracks about how that is done for public safety and otherwise. So thank you all for that. Holtec, of course, it has been mentioned. You know, when I first was elected, actually before I was a member of I was deputy speaker, county folks are here, and I was at the State House and really saying not one drop into our Cape Cod Bay. And it was really the early stages of the Cape side of the whole tech issue really getting a stronger voice. And we've continued that, and we've actually had to say, as Jim mentioned, that it's not only not one drop, it's now sort of not one spritz into the air. I mean, it's so important for all of the advocates and for everyone here to really make sure that, that there is transparency. I want to just hit a couple of points because I know the reps are here. They talk about how the Cape delegation is one of the unique groups that really gets along incredibly well with the camaraderie, and of course we extend that to the county and the federal delegation. So I'm going to just hit some points that I'm sure they'll go into in more detail. The Affordable Homes Act, I know everybody is, with respect to workforce and other concerns, looking at housing and the best way to move forward with that. On the 16th of April, the Affordable Homes Act was moved to Ways and Means. We'll be reporting more and more as things come out, but I know that Bourne, I think, is maybe out of minority of communities that are looking at ADUs coming up on your town meeting. And there's something to be said really for kind of seeing how things go and really taking some of the best ideas. And I took a look at what's proposed, and I really think that you have really taken a lot of the best ideas. It was also mentioned the Bourne Rail Trail. Administrator Tom Kerr is here. Others, I remember as when Tom and I went up to the State House to talk about the bike path, and we look at the economic engine that represents. We look at this is the moment in time while we are looking at that entire region to put that together in a very, very sensible way. So I look forward to that opportunity. The Early Ed Act, I know everybody probably is familiar with the fact that's one of the things that I really have chosen to spearhead, commonstartma.org, and the Senate moved forward in mid-March, and it's now been referred to House Ways and Means, with more affordability and accessibility of childcare for families. And one of the ways, other than I just have my fourth granddaughter, and like everybody's kids, they're struggling to afford housing and childcare at the same time, but it's its own kind of economic driver. When you look at seniors and the ADU idea of maybe, you're not using your whole house. Maybe you do want to make some adjustments so that you could have, company in your house. There are so many ways that could be used, and so we look a lot of the what I like to call the kitchen table issues that we've been moving forward with, education and housing, really coming to fruition. I know you all are familiar with the movement on the Municipal Empowerment Act as we looking at tools for communities. The governor proposed a local lodging tax ceiling moving from 6% to 7%. As chair of revenue, I certainly know how important having a bunch of tools in the toolbox can be. Local meals tax ceiling from 0.75 to 1%, 5% local option on motor vehicle excise. These are things that I think are best discussed locally to see what might fit. The wastewater goes hand in hand, as we all know, with housing. And through a technical change, I was able to move forward, ensuring that the benefits that homeowners are able to receive, whether It goes from a $6,000 to an $18,000 claimable tax credit to be sure that you're not penalized if you are able to take advantage of that funding moving forward. The budget, supplemental budget, was passed last week. Couple of important things. A lot of money went for shelter costs, including workforce training for immigrant families. We're looking forward to having that process have a more focus, and the House and the Senate have both kind of forwarded the message that there needs to be money limits, time limits. Let's really take the system that we have and be as efficient as we possibly can be. We extended certain COVID area flexibilities, permanent outdoor dining options, restaurants to be able to sell certain cocktails to go, and then expanding the nursing eligibility to graduate students and certain staff in assisted living. Along with that is the proposed End Veteran Homelessness Act. I believe that should be moving forward, I'm sure you'll hear more from the House, but looking at homelessness outreach to placement efforts, capital investments in veteran housing, supportive services for housing goals, and empowering and supporting our veteran service providers. As a daughter of a disabled veteran and having really benefited from Veterans to Benefits, I know how important that can be for families, and we really need to be sure that we are shoring up those efforts as well. That's a lot in a short time. I do want to take this opportunity. I don't know if in this capacity I'll be back so extensively, but it's really been my true pleasure to serve in partnership with you as your state senator. And you know I'm not going anywhere.
Thanks,
Thank
Sue.
you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Sue before?
No?
No. I want to thank you for your leadership around communication around the bridges. I think we've made tremendous strides with everyone, with MassDOT, with everything, so that we've been much more able to handle the construction, and it's a good model for going forward because we're going to need it, I think.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next would be Representative David Vieira. Good evening.
So what else is there left to cover, right? Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator, for all the work that we've done together. We started years ago in municipal government together in Falmouth, and then being able to work in the state legislature, and her bringing her skill set from those municipal offices to Boston is so important. But I also want to do a shout out to Melissa Ferretti for consistently attending the Joint Oversight Group at Joint Base Cape Cod. Bourne is represented every month as we sit down with all of the commanders of all the commands and look at what's happening in the community, and then look what's happening on the base itself. And Bourne is always there. Not every town is represented as consistently as Bourne is, but thank you for that. It means a lot, because when these things come up, changes come up, we understand what's happening in Bourne, and the commanders understand that, and that's part of the dialogue. I'll touch on a few brief things. Number one, just this week, the House completed its budget debate, and we were able to amend the House Ways and Means version of the budget back up to $1.3 million for the military impact aid. It's actually 1.325, and there's $150,000 set aside for Lincoln, so we're going to be working with the Senate to deal with that other little amount so that Lincoln gets their piece, and that we have the stable funding that Bourne has come to know under Chapter 71, Section 95B, which is really that statutory authority that when Senate President Murray was still in office her last year, we partnered together to put that in state law to say that the minimum 1.3 would be available to support the students that are being educated here in Bourne and in the town of Bedford. Tom Kerr is here. Or is it maybe right up the corner? He's over there with that $20 million check that I'm trying to get a hold of. But working together on this Bourne Rail Trail, I remember back when I initially heard about this project, it was because of a little video on Facebook, and I'm like, what is the Bourne Rail Trail? And so I set up for a coffee and met the folks behind that, Nate and John Carroll. It was funny, I met John in the parking lot of the meeting and didn't know he was there for the meeting because I didn't know he was involved with the effort, right? But that was when the group first came together, and I know George was a selectman at the time. We had meetings in Pecasset with all the select board members to talk about where that's going to go. And right now we're at that point where you all made that decision to ask to do that pivot from rail with trail to rail to trail. And with that, there's a lot of nuances of how do you get from the first proposal to the new proposal. And really, for me, it's the third alternative. Some people say, Dave, it's the third rail. No, it's not the third rail. It's the third alternative. It's a win-win solution. I met with the Upper Cape Board of Managers last month, and we were talking about whether or not the IMA should be continued in the Upper Cape towns that have the consent agreement at the base for the transfer station. And I spoke in favor of that. They should have that, because there's a lot of potential currently and in the future to have that municipal agreement at the facility. The second one was whether or not the current contractor should be renewed the contract to operate that facility. I spoke in favor of that as well, because the relationship that's been built between that board of managers and that contractor at that facility. And then the question is, what is the future of regional transfer? Is the future of regional transfer at Joint Base Cape Cod on the existing facility, or is it potentially in the town of Bourne, adjacent to your iSwim facility? I believe that it should be adjacent to the iSwim facility with that new rail spur for 2.25 miles on the north side of Route 28, which allows a spur connection to Camp Edwards, because if military equipment is going to be moved to Joint Base Cape Cod, it's going to be used by the Army. And right now, the spur comes in at the south side of the base, and we can go right to the training center. You've seen the letter from the Adjutant General's office clarifying the military's view that the StracNet says that it needs to have a corridor to the facility. It doesn't have to have the existing rail line. And so that's where we are today. We're looking at trying to get the administration to make a decision that the third alternative is viable, to move and to take the generosity of the Regional Transit Authority with the federal funds that they have to be able to do a complete rail-to-trail transfer, get that line in, and then as we're working on the approaches and the redesign for the Bourne Bridge, to bring the new rail spur in so that we can have regional transfer, we can have StracNet, and we can have a state-of-the-art Bourne Rail Trail facility. The chair and the town manager and I had a meeting just a couple of weeks ago talking about the future of the South Side Station and issues around that. You heard of the executive session, the decision to accept the offer to go with the county to purchase the land. And so there'll be some needs to do some transfers and some issues around Article 97. We talked about timelining and how we're in a formal session until August 1st at midnight, and therefore we wouldn't be able to do a roll call after that, so that the timing for the fall town meeting makes sense. It also makes sense with the legislative approvals necessary under Article 97 of the Constitution. So that decision obviously is a municipal decision for you all to make in the community, but having had that meeting with the chair and the town manager to look at the logistics of the decisions that might come out of that meeting. Housing bond I was going to talk about, but we heard about that. The housing bond bill is in-house Ways and Means. It'll be teed up now that our budget's done. And a little project in Boston, in Bourne, that was very interesting to me was the high school students that do the internship program partnered up with the second graders at Bournedale and had a career fair for second graders. And the career fair was around the projects that the high school students were doing in their internship. And to go up there to Bournedale and walk through, I'm thinking, second grade career fair? What is this all about, right? But to hear these young people talk about the things that they're interested in and what they learned from the mentorship that they got from the high school students was pretty exciting. And they even had little resumes where they put what they want to be when they grow up, what their favorite skills are, what subject they do well in school and all that. And so they were starting to think about the future and the future of employment and all of that. But one particular student was talking to me about a project she was working on with the kids and they were with her internship, and she was measuring temperature in the Childs River in Falmouth, which was a restoration project that I worked on with the Falmouth Rod and Gun Club in the town of Falmouth. We just completed that project a year ago. And I said, well, what else are you studying in there? She goes, turbidity and salinity. And I'm like, do you know why you measure temperature? She goes, actually, I don't know. It's on the list. It's something that we have to do. And so we talked about the Sea Run brook trout and the restoration effort in that river. And on May 15th, she and another student that is an intern at Bourne High School are going to come to Falmouth to the Childs River where they've been doing this internship testing, and they're going to go through and fish the river with the Department of Fish and Game. We do actually electroshocking. It doesn't harm the fish. It just paralyzes them briefly, and we catch them. And then we run them through a scanner to see if the pit tag is in the fish. It's like an easy pass. When you drive down the highway and they send you the bill if you don't have your easy pass, or it pays the bill when you drive down, well, we do that with the fish to see what fish are coming back in the river. And so we're going to have an opportunity for the Bourne students to come and see what their internship really means to the restoration of the river, and to really see how many fish in the last 2 years have come back to the traditional brook runs, not only in the Childs, but in the Quashnet and the Coonamessett River as well. So I won't take any other topics so that my colleague still has a few others to talk about. But any questions that you might have?
Yeah, but thank you, and thank you for the text about the military aid. That was great
Yeah,
news last
huge.
week.
I'll like that afterwards.
Okay, thank you, David.
You.
Thank you, Dave.
Stephen,
All right,
Representative Zaros.
thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair. I'm Stephen Exaros. I am the state representative for the Fighting Fifth Barnstable District, which includes all the way from Barnstable to Buzzards Bay. I want to first thank you for doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I think that's very important that we do that, and I'm grateful that you did, and you always do. Also, 4 police officers were killed yesterday in North Carolina, and the flag today is at half-staff for a police officer from Bill Ricker that was killed in the line of duty. I'll be at his funeral on Friday. So there's a lot going on in the Commonwealth and in the country, but you should be proud of Bourne. For a small town, you've got 3 federal bridges, you've got a federal canal, you've got Mass Maritime Academy, and Joint Base Cape Cod. That's a lot of stuff in one town, and you manage it beautifully. And I'm proud to work with the federal delegation, the county. It's pretty special that we get to do that work. Before I did this, I was a police officer, so I'm used to serving and protecting, and I want you all to know to come to me if I can help you. Some of the things that come up a lot in my world, obviously the bridges, right? They're going to be 100 years old soon. We need to replace them. I saw the plans. It's pretty incredible. And I commend, Senator Moran and everyone to keep everybody informed. I was just giving a class today with a bunch of sandwich kids, and they couldn't believe the drawings that I showed them. It's going to be beautiful. And you'll be able to actually walk over the bridges and ride bicycles without being scared to death. Because when you walk over those bridges now, if you do, or ride a bike, it's scary. So they're coming. We're working together to get them done. It'll be beautiful and something to be proud of. And they'll be in Bourne. And they're the gateway to Cape Cod, not only the Cape, but the islands. Our business community depends on them. Tourism depends on them. And public safety. If we have to get off the island, we need to get over those bridges. So we need to get them done. It'll be 4 new bridges, right? 2 side by side, and then another 2. It'll be 8 lanes, 4 off Cape, 4 coming on. Completely changing the interchangers, right? So it won't look anything like this, kind of. It'll be totally different once they get it all going. And we'll have to be patient, because we know what it's like when they do 1 lane on a bridge now. Imagine building new ones. So that's coming. That's on our radar all the time. I serve on the Veterans and Federal Affairs Committee, so if anyone that's a veteran, military family, I'm on that committee. Please come to us. There's so many benefits. State has veteran benefits, so do the feds. So sometimes people don't realize there's actually 2 sets of benefits, and sometimes it's hard to navigate them. We can do that with you. I also serve on the Public Safety Committee. That's very important. There's so many issues. And some of the bills that come to us are laws, but some of them are, I think you should know about. One of them that we keep trying to pass, and it's still pending, is to establish a commission, kind of like they do for the schools, where when you need a police station or a fire station like you do, or even a new town hall, you'd be able to go to the state and apply, and they would give you a certain percentage of the cost, just like they do with the schools. That has to be done because small towns can't afford it. It's hard to build a new fire station. We have towns in Western Mass, they're 100 years old. The fire trucks are outside. So there's a lot there. And also there's a lot of health bills that come up to us. And one comes to mind is the firefighters that are struggling with PFAS. That's a poison chemical that's in their uniforms still today. So there's a way to clean them, and now they learn don't even wear them home because you could possibly spread that cancer-causing chemical to your family. So those are bills that we deal with in that committee. I'm also on the Ways and Means Committee, which is really the most powerful committee because every penny goes through that committee. As my colleagues mentioned, the House debated the budget last week. It's about $58 billion for 1 year. But all of that, all the grants, all of the things that you asked for the schools, everything kind of comes through that committee, and I'm proud to sit on that. And lastly, I'm on the Mental Health and Substance Use Committee. That's huge. We have so many people struggling. My family struggles with substance use. I know a lot of people that do. I know a lot of families that have a loved one that have died from overdose. Fentanyl, all those things affect the country, affects the Commonwealth, and affects people right here. So I'm on those 4 important committees. Please reach out to me for anything. And I guess I could end with, there's so many other things, but really, we are here to serve. And Senator Moran is right. I don't know of any other town that gets all these officials in one room. And we're happy to do it. Like, so keep doing it. That's our job. And we work better together. And then a shout out to Bourne because you're hosting the Bridge event, the educational events right in this building on May 13th. Everybody should come. There's an afternoon one and there's an evening one. They're both the same. But in an hour and a half, you'll get to see exactly what everybody's talking about with these new bridges. And if you have any questions, again, reach out. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'll be right here with the team. All right. Thank you.
All right, now we're moving to the county, and I think Sheila Lyons is here, and Beth Albert. Are you together or separate? Sheila's gonna do it?
Call on Beth if I need some help.
Okay, welcome,
She's there to
Sheila.
rescue me. So, Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you so much for inviting us here. It's so good to be in Bourne. It's been a long time, and we've met each other recently, but, you know, with COVID, in that last election, it was, I always call it the pajama election because everything was sort of online, and we didn't have that chance to get out. So it's very good to be here, and I'm happy to do so. We do have some of these brochures I am going to give you, just a little, and I think some of our congressional delegation, and we'll give some to them as well, to talk about what the county does. But here tonight I'm just talking about challenges and opportunities that the county is facing. And I figured Beth and I discussed it, we were going to just touch on PFAS, which was has already been discussed. And we have a PFAS cleanup that we're in the middle of right now with the former municipal fire training site in Hyannis. We are going to touch on wastewater and water quality, including the Aqua Fund, and capital planning projects that we have before us. So as many people may know, we had a former fire training academy in Hyannis off of Mary Dunn Road at the end of that, and it was there from the 1970s through 2009 when it was closed due to PFAS contamination. And that contamination, got into the soils at the training site, to the groundwater beneath, and into the Flint Rock Pond directly west of the site. And it also, you know, it was going towards, of course, the most vulnerable neighborhoods of Hyannis. And the cleanup right now and the release is being regulated by the Department of Environmental Protection of Massachusetts. And there are numerous phases to this work to assess and clean up the PFAS contamination under the DEP rules, Mass DEP. The initial site investigation was completed in 2018. Major mitigation work includes pumping out the contaminated groundwater and treating it, removal of highly contaminated soil, interim capping of the entire facility after demolition of the fire training structures, and testing groundwater across a wide area. Phase 2, which is underway, it includes the design and construction of a larger groundwater pump and treat system, and that's a price tag afforded to us of $15 million. And the current estimates of the costs to complete the project, and I'm so happy that everybody's here, of the project, which will identify the extent of the PFAS plume and undertake remedial actions, will exceed $60 million. And this is something that the county is facing, and it's not going to be, it's not sustainable. To date, the county already has spent $7 million related to the PFAS cleanup, including settlement and operation and management costs to the town of the Mary Well Done wells and the remediation. And if we are unable to secure federal and state funding, we're going to have to eventually come to the towns, to those towns that their fire training members participated in. And this is like the last thing we want to do. But I'm just putting it out there that we are in a desperate way, unless our friends over here can help us. The wastewater and quality investments, all 15 towns of county, we all rely on our single source aquifer. 100% of the drinking water needs, making water quality and effective wastewater management essential to public health and environmental protection in our region. And the county does this through multiple programs that we are able to contribute to this. This was an issue that I ran on when I first became commissioner, and that's what nobody wanted to see. You know, there's no problem with the water. Look at it, it looks beautiful. It's beautiful water out there. And, but I think people do realize that not only is it protecting our environment, but it's also protecting our economy, since we rely so much on tourism. Right now, what we are able to do, the multiple programs we're doing, is we provide analytical services to our regionals, private residents, and municipalities. We are there for testing your waters. The laboratory also provides analytical services to owners of private drinking water wells. Samples are picked up in the towns of Wellfleet, Truro, Eastham, Brewster, Falmouth, and Mashpee. So if you have if you have taken samples and you can't get down to Barnstable, you can drop it off at one of these towns. And in 2001, the county laboratory received over 16,000 samples and performed over 87,000 analysis. Finally, the laboratory supports Barnstable County's groundwater and recreational monitoring initiatives, including the landfill monitoring program, which provides surveillance of groundwater plumes beneath Cape Cod's landfills, the Bathing Beach Monitoring Program, which conducts collection analysis and reporting of bathing beach water Cape-wide from Memorial Day through Labor Day, and twice I've had disasters happen on 4th of July, and I've had people calling me saying, you've got to get your department to change that. So it felt a little like Jaws, like the mayor in Jaws. But so we do that, and we just have been putting a lot of money into our lab. So what we hope to do is to capture a lot of the other testing that usually is sent off Cape. And this will enhance our laboratory, but it will also be a cost savings to the towns and municipalities that need that. We do want to assist with monitoring the IA system, septic systems at no cost. The Internet database collects inspection reports and effluent monitoring results, and it also allows regulators the ability to track compliance for 3,600 IA systems across the Cape Islands and southeastern Massachusetts. And almost last but not least, is our Cape Cod Aqua Fund. We do have an Aqua Fund which we provide efficient and effective means of financing, of financially assisting area residents with cost-prohibitive yet essential septic requirements. When you have to upgrade your system, you are changing properties, you are able to come to the county, and we have now put money into that, and we just revamped this. This is the first year this program is being tested, in a sense, to see who is going to take advantage of this. But we are now offering 0% loans, 2% loans, and 4% loans to qualified homeowners, and now includes several hookups, and it will now include sewer hookups. So we're trying to get wastewater done, and we're putting pipes out there, and it's going to be a cost to the homeowner, and they just can't come up with that money. So we are now offering loans for that hookup as well that can start at 0%. Again, this is income means tested. Last week, the county approved a loan application for an additional $13 million in funding from the Clean Water Trust to meet the demand, and we anticipate to having to take out additional loans in the next 12 to 18 months. The program eligibility is on capecod.gov, and the details if you want to find out more of that. The Massachusetts Alternative Septic System Test Center is the nation's test bed for academic institutions and private industries alike, diverting untreated, excuse me for reading all of this, but it's a lot, and I wanted to make sure I was getting it right, wastewater from Joint Base, where it is used to simulate it. So our test center is located on the base, and it's used to simulate residential wastewater effluent. So this allows us for an active investigation and development of products that focus on nitrogen reduction to protect our sensitive areas. And hopefully we will find that magic, well, we don't know if it'll let it be magic, but some way of keeping these costs down and still getting to the goal. And in our backyard, in our own needs here, Barnstable County, we have a lot of capital needs, and particularly as needed to maintain the 4 county courthouses that we have stewardship over. And we are now facing, because there is a historical, our Superior Courthouse is a historical building, we're facing up to about $16,335,500 of capital projects associated with the 4 buildings. And our most notable is the Superior Courthouse. A major renovation of our iconic historic Superior Courthouse is in the planning phase. Necessary renovations will include facets of the exterior envelope from the original 1832 building to the 7th additional building that was built in 1972. That was the last addition that was put on that building. This project will include updates of the mortar, the granite, the brick, cast stone, wood columns, cornice, windows, the trim, and structural work to the brick arches in the basement, which are really an amazing thing to behold, the way this building was built. No major renovations have been performed on the Superior Courthouse since the last edition of 1972, and the cost of the estimated of this project alone is $7 million. So that's all our good news. No, actually, we are really doing, I'm very proud of the staff at the county, and I am going to be talking to our federal and state legislators here as we walk out the door. But Beth Albert has done a great job for us in being our administrator in the last 4 years. She's had a lot of tough things to face, and she's done it well and with professionalism and grace. So I want to thank her for being such a great help to us. Any questions?
Just a statement, Madam Chair.
Sure.
Out to Beth Albert, thank you very much for all you've done for the last 4 years and time before that with the county. I know you're getting ready to retire. So really thank you for all you've done. It's really appreciated. It shows. And I wish you the best wishes moving forward into your retirement phase. Enjoy it while you're young.
Thank you for that, Peter. I very much appreciate it. She's really special. So,
Thank you very much, Sheila.
All right, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking us.
Next, we have Tom Cahere. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, members of the board. I will be very brief because I know you've got a long night and a busy agenda. I also want to acknowledge the award the Girl Scout received. I think that's quite impressive. I also want to mention that Sheila, who was just speaking, won an election yesterday as selectman in Wellfleet. So, that's,
Congratulations.
I said she must be a masochist, but nothing to do with Wellfleet, but just the work that you guys have to do every week is not easy. I was basically going to speak about one new service that we're going to unveil here in Bourne on June 22nd, but since Congressman Keating and others, Senator Moran had mentioned my involvement with the rail trail, I'm getting, I guess, a little more credit than I deserve. We're actually just providing the resources, the funding to try to pivot away from something that doesn't make sense to something that does make sense. And we wouldn't be able to do that without Congressman Keating's continued leadership from day one, both Senator Markey and Warren. The federal funds that we're using came from their strong support, so they're the ones that need to be credited for that. But I also received a text from the Lieutenant Governor's office this morning saying that we're kind of still on it, and we'll be convening a meeting soon. So I know it's on their radar, and they're trying to consider the potential of doing what we're trying to do there. So the thing I wanted to mention about our service, we've developed in-house an app-based service to summon one of our vehicles for a short haul. It's very much like Uber and Lyft, only it's $3 per transportation trip as opposed to what Uber and Lyft charges. And we have trained, professional, safe drivers driving the vehicles. So we're going to be unveiling that in all 15 Cape towns on June 22nd, where each town will have a Smart Dot service exclusive to their boundaries, their jurisdiction. So it's intended to bring you to, anywhere within your community. And it's going to be, as I said, for short hauls mainly, because we do have fixed route on-the-hour service going through all 15 Cape towns. And we're going to be trying to complement that service with this service. So you'll learn more about it in the next 5 or 6 weeks, but it's something that I think all the towns in the Cape will be quite happy about. So with that, I'll end and answer any questions anyone may have.
Thank you very much. That sounds like a great service.
I
the app
know.
service. I think that's really good. I think it'll help a lot of people that, really have challenges. So I think that's really great. Yeah.
We developed it 5 years ago in-house, and I wanted to unveil it to the whole Cape, and then COVID came, and we had a lack of drivers, actually, to be able to provide the service. So we tried a pilot program in Yarmouth and Barnstable for the last 3 years with great success. We had 1,200 downloads for the app in those two communities. This past summer, I wanted to keep expanding as we got more drivers, so we went into Falmouth, Dennis, and Sandwich. And so it's been working there for the last 6 or 8 months. But on the 22nd, when we unveil our whole new summer service, all 15 towns will have it. So we have the vehicles to deploy, the drivers to provide the service, and it's going to be another efficiency to move around the Cape without your car.
Oh, great. Thank you. That's wonderful. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I think last but not least, Donna Buckley, Sheriff, is represented here tonight by Hannah Buntick. So welcome.
George has
Do you want?
I didn't acknowledge Representative Vieira, who from day one also on the bike path has really been in constant communication with me and others. So I always forget to say somebody, and I know he doesn't care, but it's important because he's been a leader on the issue. I'm sorry. Thank you.
And George, I see that you want to speak too, so
I can wait.
I'll wait till after. Yeah, okay. Assembly, we'll put you in the assembly list. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Hannah Buntich, and I'm the Director of Government and Community Affairs for the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office. Thank you for having me here tonight to provide an update. Sheriff Buckley wishes she could be here tonight, but she had a conflict that she could not reschedule. A couple updates from us. As many of you are aware, the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office Regional Emergency Communication Center dispatches for the Bourne Fire Department and other departments on the Cape. The BCSO Regional Emergency Communication Center has reached operational capacity. Consequently, the ECC is unable to provide additional call taking and or dispatch services to those communities who are seeking to join the center, of which we have a few, or those who seek to expand the scope of the services they currently receive. To accommodate the demand for additional services, the BCSO must substantially expand the size of its dispatch center and increase the number of telecommunicators who work in the center. To this end, the BCSO, in partnership with the Commonwealth's Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance and the State 911 Department, have developed a set of viable growth and expansion options which can be separated into 4 categories. 1, the expansion of our current center, which is located on Joint Base Cape Cod. 2, the repurposing of an existing state-owned building. 3, execution of a long-term lease at a commercially owned property. Or 4, construction of a new dispatch center on state-owned land. Although each option presents its own set of positives and negatives, the construction of a new center on state-owned land is presently the preferred option. The BCSO, DCAM, and State 911 team are aggressively working to identify and assess all potential options for a new center. And then also beyond the expansion of our physical plant, we will also need to recruit and hire additional public safety telecommunicators. We look to generate interest in the telecommunication field and grow the pool of potential applicants by integrating into the new ECC a training and professional development program for those who may be inspired to answer the call. Additionally, about a year ago, we began accepting regional lockups at the correctional facility again. A lockup, for those, took me a while to figure this out too, but a lockup is someone who has been arrested and not yet gone to court, but there may not be room or proper staffing or accommodations for them at the local police station. The BCCF accepts these lockups and takes responsibility for their care and transportation until they have gone to court. To date, since the end of last May, when we started accepting lockups again, the BCCF has accepted 41 lockups from the Bourne Police Department.
Thank you.
You're welcome. BCSO currently has 4 active canine units. We have 2 narcotics dogs and 2 patrol dogs. Our canines are available to the town if you ever should need them. The BCSO also has a wood shop and a print shop. Sheriff Buckley opened the wood shop for operation shortly after assuming office in 2023. Our wood shop teaches our incarcerated individuals woodworking as well as encourages soft skill development. The wood shop makes beautiful Adirondack chairs, cornhole boards, and most recently has built planters for the JFK Museum in Hyannis. So if the town can think of anything they would like built, we'd be happy to have a conversation about that. The print shop is available to be used by any nonprofit organization or government organization. The print shop can produce business cards, flyers, booklets, pretty much anything you can think of. And if you would like more information about either the wood shop or the print shop, I can leave my contact information with you.
Awesome.
Our community work crews are also available to assist with any projects you may have here in Bourne. We had community work crews prior to COVID, and like the theme still is happening, COVID kind of crushed that, but they're back up and running. The community work crews can assist with painting, landscaping, and making any structural repairs. Lastly, we want to extend our thanks to the town and the Bourne Fire Department for the ambulances service that you provide for our incarcerated individuals. Whenever we call, you are always timely and responsive. And finally, we would like to express our gratitude to the town as a whole. Your collaboration with the BCSO, from the police and fire departments to the select board and the town administrator, is appreciated each and every day.
Thank you very much. That was a great report.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you. George, did you have something you wanted to add? George?
Well, I'm the,
I thought you had declined. I'm sorry.
No, I declined last year, I think, because I'd just given the report about a month before the last April's. But,
Welcome, George Slade.
thank you
our
very
rep.
much. Good evening to all, and I'm not going to put you through exactly what Commissioner Lyons had said. I have a lot of the same information, but one point I do want to make about the PFAS remediation is that she went through all the gory details, but also a shirt like this gets washed, and the material from this shirt contributes to PFAS, as well as Teflon, that's been around for decades. But and I remember the good old days, we used to deal with parts per million, parts per billion even, but now it's parts per trillion. And we're just finding out what the impact of
what that will be, and it's a little bit scary. The Aqua Fund, you covered that really well. The dredge is the only other thing I want to bring up that it's an enterprise fund similar to the one the ones in Bourne. The iSwim is our main driving force, as well as the sewer enterprise. It's meant to be revenue neutral, but there are a lot of issues that go on. But basically, they had a good, thorough, up and down review of the price structure, and I think we're finally going to be able to pay our way once this happens, because there's a tremendous amount of cost in moving equipment. You can imagine if they've dredged Little Bay in Bourne, then the next stop is in Chatham. That takes 2 full days to move the equipment from there. Towns like Falmouth have a hell of a time because of the peninsulas they have there. They have to do one area, and then they have to pick up and move to the next area, and these are all small jobs. It's quite daunting. But anyway, there's permitting delays, weather delays. You're running it like a business, and it's so fickle, the amount of upsetting or interruptions that you get. And surprises happen all across the Cape. They happened in Bourne a couple of years, I guess it was last year, no, 2 years ago, when they ran into some boulders that they weren't planning on, and now they're logging all these things in. And the other benefit, though, is that the Pecasset River was dredged for the first time in about 60 years. And I can't imagine some of the stuff that they must have found in the Pecasset River, but that was quite a benefit. But we were very lucky to have Chris Southwood as one of the members that was, the new director's name is Ken Cirillo, but he's really counted on people like Chris Southwood to guide him. I don't have too much other to say other than the fact that the migrant situation that was here, we counted on Town Administrator McCollum, as well as Dr. Joe from the school department, just to give us a background of what the impacts were on those, the town as a whole, as well as the school. And they were very informative, and it made the town of Bourne look good at the assembly level, and I really appreciated that.
Thank you.
That's about all I have.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank
George.
you.
Thanks for coming. I want to thank you all for coming, for taking the time to come. I think it's really beneficial for all of us to hear all the work that's being done and the communication and how you're working together and working for us and with us, and it's really, really appreciated. I also want to say that District Attorney Rob Galabois was not able to come tonight, as well as Cape Cod Commission representatives, but we'll be having them on another agenda, so there is more to come. Does anyone else have any comments? Or?
I just have a
ahead,
quick
Jerry.
one. Since I won't be running, and I will be done with my term in a few weeks, I'd like to remind our state folks and our representatives, as well as the commission folks, that the bridges are a great success. They're coming, and that's fantastic. They're moving forward. But here in Bourne, I think it's important that we remember all of those drawings and the bridges and their depictions. None of those include the 2 roads, especially, that run between the bridges. Each of those roads is about 3.5 miles between the 2 bridges and carry a large portion of the vehicles that travel over both of those bridges. Those 2 roads are specifically also part of our local roadways. And so we're overloading them with a lot of traffic, and I think it's very important that, the Mass DOT use our representatives here in the town as a way to get information. And not to belittle anything, but a lot of these engineers that are drawing these things and putting these things together may either miss some of those roadways that are connecting or have never driven those roadways, and they don't understand them. And I know specifically I had asked at one point, when they talked about setting speed limits, and they use those counters, and they basically take an average of the speed of the vehicles that are going over it and set the speed limit to that. My specific question was, what about topography? What about curvature of the roadway? What about heavy traffic spots? how do we incorporate those into those traffic settings? How do we incorporate those into setting the speeds? And how do we incorporate the signage? And I think the signage is one of the biggest things. You come down Scenic Highway, which is one of those two roadways that connects the two ridges, into our East Rotary that's here in Buzzards Bay that most of you are probably going to go through when you leave here. As you come down Scenic Highway, there's no signs that tell you what lane to be in before you get into the Rotary. So there's mad panic once you get into the Rotary to try and change to the lane you need to be into. So there was a little mishap on that signage, but I can tell you I was here when they brought that project to us as a selectman, and I specifically addressed that, and I think that was missed. And I think that's one of those examples where taking some of that information from the local folks is important. So not being here in the future, I'm hoping that you folks will carry that torch and make sure that we remember these side roadways that are not on these depictions, and make sure that the town of Bourne is covered, because the town of Bourne is on both sides of all four of those bridges. So we're directly impacted in that way. So going forward, I'd like to make sure that we're covered that way. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate everyone being here. This is a great undertaking, and we've managed to do it just about every year that I've been here, so it's impressive. And I want to thank all of you for coming out.
Yeah. Peter?
Yes, thank you all for coming out this evening. Anne Marie and I are your appointed representatives for the Canal Area Bridge project for the last few years. Well, for the last year, almost a year since Anne Marie and I have been on. And we hear from residents around the town about various concerns. And one of the things two things that are big priorities that I've heard about is preventive maintenance going forward once the Commonwealth assumes the ownership and maintenance of these two area bridges. Because if you use the Morris J. Tobin Bridge, the Summer and Callahan Tunnel, and the Fort River Bridge as examples, the state's done a piss poor job in preventive maintenance. These four bridges, once they're open, are the only ways for vehicle traffic on and off the Cape. You know, it is a lifeline, and I know funding in the state budget every year is subject to appropriation. However, I would like a dedicated source in there to make sure that these bridges have the funding in place to maintain these bridges, because there's too much traffic going over these, and bridges, and there will be some wear and tear. But I do not, because the federal government with the U.S. Army Corps under the federal leadership, did a great job over the years of maintaining these bridges. That's why they last as long as they did. So I just hope that the Commonwealth has the money and the structure in place to make sure that they continue that, because it's too expensive, number one, and I don't want to end up seeing a catastrophic issue happen down the road because we didn't maintain these bridges properly. So I'm just advocating for funding to make sure that that is in place. And on the other funding issue with the bridge, I pray that, I know the Secretary of Transportation brought up tolls may be an option. The governor said that through administration. We really haven't spoken about that yet, but come on. I mean, there's discretionary money that's been spent in other areas. I'll be damned if you're going to be asking the residents or the people going over these bridges to pay a toll. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I know with the Mass Turnpike, they were supposed to dissolve the tolls once the bonds and notes were paid off on it. They're still there. But the people around here in this community, they pay enough in taxes, and they keep on going up. You never see property taxes going down, inflation, the cost for everything. To add another expense, I'm sorry. I want nothing to do with it. I mean, so unless it's a last resort. I mean, I just hope there's other ways, because the people can't afford to stay in the homes they're in now. Some of them, it's marginal at best. So just look at other ways of other funding sources once the Commonwealth takes over it, because it's just not fair. And I will hold my other comments to.
Any other members of the board?
Thank you. I mean, I don't need to repeat it. I'm really honored to have everyone here. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, I know that there's some people with hands up and people in the public that would like to speak, but we have a very long agenda. We've devoted a lot of time to this, and we are going to have to move on. But I really want to thank everyone for coming, and we appreciate all that you've done for us, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public hearing, annual all alcohol on-premise club license, alteration of premise for Casa Golf Course. This is a public hearing that was, has been posted. And so I have beginning, I have to read this as a form of public hearing. So, under general laws, chapter 138 and 140,
No.
it's okay.
It's okay?
It's okay.
Okay.
138 and 140 is licensing authority. The Bourne Select Board has received an application from Pecasset Golf Club, Inc. to consider an alteration of licensed premises for an all-annual, all-alcohol license. I hereby open the public hearing for that application. As the first order of business, I am entering into the record of this hearing a copy of the legal notice provided by the town of Bourne for this hearing. As a second order of business, I am entering to the record of this hearing a copy of the application and supporting material provided to the town of Bourne dated April 1st, 2024. Having taken those actions, I will now open the floor to the applicant who may speak concerning the application. Is there someone here representing Pecasset Golf Course? Welcome. Thank you.
Hello,
Would you please
everyone.
introduce yourself?
I am, first time I spoke at the town meeting here. My name is James Underdar, and I am in my fifth season as manager of Pecasset Golf Club. I have been an active general manager on Cape Cod for over 30 years, and for 21 of those years, I was a general manager at Coonamessett Inn in Falmouth. So I'm very familiar with the industry and how the licenses work. I'm going to do a description pretty much of what we plan on the course and how we plan on handling it. So the request of a license change for beverage service at Pecasset Golf Club. We are looking to have the ability for members to purchase a beverage to bring onto the course, holes 1 through 18, along with including golf pass and access to the next tee box, which is very general practice throughout many clubs on Cape Cod right now. There are no public crossing points on the course, leaving all movement to be on Pecasset's golf club's property. We are requesting to allow the main clubhouse to act as a kiosk for beverage service. The clubhouse is situated right beside the pro shop and right by the first tee. This leaves the service of alcohol to be handled by all in-house staff. So the food and beverage staff, which is tip certified and trained, will be the only ones serving alcohol at the course. There will be no outside alcohol allowed to be brought onto the premises, and any required signage will be posted. There will be no change at the facility for storage of alcohol, so everything will be in the locked storage, as it always is, so there will be no movement around or transporting any kind of large amount of alcohol onto that course anywhere for a kiosk or anything. There is no request for any additional on-course outlet or beverage cart. So simply, we're trying to use the main clubhouse. You know, if they'd like to have a hot dog and a beer to head out, play golf, and they're not going to see that clubhouse again for 2 hours. It's about 2 hours for each 9 holes. This will allow full control of beverage service throughout the whole entire property. And, yeah, you know, overall, I would say it's, you know, a very, very positive way to handle something like this.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Anne Marie?
Just for clarification purposes, because it has come up with correspondence, players are only, have to be present at the bar or at the clubhouse to purchase
Yes.
the alcohol and then can transport it in their cart
Yeah.
as they play the game. They don't have the opportunity to call the clubhouse and say, can you bring out,
No, so it'll be-
alcohol? So that did come into question with some correspondence and some
Oh, okay.
conversations that I've had. So the clarification is, the clubhouse has full control of the alcohol they dispense to the individual
Yeah,
at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And only at the clubhouse.
and only at the clubhouse.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
From me, but someone in the audience is.
I'll take, we usually do the board and then we'll do public comment, but I do have a question because there's not going to be any alcohol, bring your own alcohol on the course anymore. It's all
Correct.
going to be purchased.
Yep.
And that has been allowed in the past, yes.
Typically,
Yeah.
they'll sneak it into the.
So it is more control, it is more
Yeah,
control.
much more control over the alcohol service on the course.
Okay, awesome,
Yep.
thank you. If you'd like to come up, I'll take public comment. Now somebody say, I have to read my formal thing. I'm now going to remove. Okay, well, you have to come up to the microphone. I'm going to open the floor to public comment or questions. Each speaker is limited to 2 minutes. Before you speak, please state your name and street address. If you have questions for the applicant, please address them to me, the chair, and I will ask the applicant to respond when your comment time has completed.
Hi, my name is Roy Higgins. So what is the size of the alcohol that they'll be able to buy at the clubhouse prior to going out in the course? And will they be able to drive and drink at the same time?
Be able to drive a golf cart?
Yes. I live on the 11th fairway. I see golf carts every day. So I have a question. Will they be driving their golf carts having been drinking? Because by the time they get to 11th fairway, will they still have alcohol that they're drinking?
Okay. Do you have any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay. Would you come up and answer that question?
They do have access to the golf cart, and yes, they would be able to, go in the golf cart to get to the next tee box and go to, and they'll play.
So is there a limit per person?
Yes,
I
you
mean,
can't. Yeah, so all the guidelines of distribution of alcohol will be handled by a tips-trained bartender, and then that way, when they serve alcohol, it will be under the guides of the ABCC. So when it goes out the course, when they get it, and going from, for example, from the clubhouse down to the 10th tee, they'll be down there, they probably won't even take a sip of that until they start working out in the course, and they won't be back to the clubhouse for another 2 hours. And then after that, they'll be coming in on the 18th hole, and they might sit down and, they may have another beer or have lunch or something like that at that point. And it tends to be very common practice everywhere. A lot of the courses will actually have a beverage cart chasing the other golf cart around, selling them drinks on the course in the cart. So this is a very limited ask compared to, what a lot of other local courses are doing in this situation. So, and we feel it's a very nice, very controlled way to handle it. We're not promoting extra sales of alcohol in this amendment. And, just making it a nice place, completely private property. The golf carts are always on our property. We are fully insured throughout the whole entire property. So, everything is in place. And,
Madam Chair, don't forget the size
The
was one of
size.
the questions.
So the size, so are there, do you have specific
oh, the
limits on the
size.
size
I
of
did
drinks?
not, no, I did not answer that. So they will be poured, if it's a beer, it's, you can do can of beer onto the course, and then, pouring if it was, something. Typically, it's gonna be a Bud Light or something. It's hot out there, they're playing golf, but, if they had a, like a Cape Cod, or it's typical pour cranberry juice, little plastic to-go cup with a sippy cup, with a straw, and, it's not,
8 ounces.
yeah.
roughly.
Well, that would be 12 ounce. 12 ounce
ounces of
plastic
beer,
cup
yeah,
with
yeah,
ice.
yeah, 12.
12 ounce, yeah.
Okay, I think we have another question.
Yeah.
Yes? Same deal, identify yourself for the public record.
My name's Mary Fisher.
And I'm Roy's other half. Our property abuts the 11th fairway. And my concern, I mean, I don't care where anybody drinks on the golf course, except if they're going to have nice plastic cups for safety purposes, what are they going to do with them? Are they going to flip them out? And I'm concerned about litter. Are they going to have hot dogs, as you said? Are they, and what are they going to do with all the litter, the packaging that these things come in? Because, I mean, I bet you we get 5 golf balls every day. I don't want to think about getting a Bud Light can coming right on my property. So that's my concern. I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a comment for that? I mean, do you have plans for how to control litter or make hefty deposits on all these bottles and cans? So they
I would tell you that I came from a public sector restaurant, 21 years at Coonamessett Inn. I would walk in the morning and I would have somebody go pick up the parking lot. The respect by the members at this club is, like, I don't see any trash anywhere. And I would say even on the 11th green, we have people in there at 5 a.m. in the morning cleaning up. For an occasional golf ball, I would believe that, but trash on the course, that place is spotless. You know, I don't know if anyone's ever played it, but it's a beautiful, well-maintained property. Even the parking lot is clean. I mean, it's a clean property. So, yep.
Thank you. You have a question?
Just to follow up, if I can,
Sure.
James. Is there a mechanism for the abutters to communicate any issues with?
I would be happy to, you know, I'd give them my email, phone number. I'd be happy if you had any issues at all, come down and talk to me, and we'll have lunch and discuss it, and I will fix it.
Exactly, I like that idea. That's a good bargain.
Yeah.
But the guys that come early in the morning,
Yeah.
they clean all that stuff up.
Yeah, but if you ever have any issue at all, give me a call. I'll address it immediately. I'll even come over and clean it for you. But, and I don't want that out on the course either, so
Right.
we take so much pride in the course that, you know, we don't want to see any trash out there. We don't even want to see trash on the side of the road coming down to the clubhouse. You know, I've seen our greens guys cleaning up on the side of the road coming down. And I think we try to be the best neighbors we possibly can, and it dates way back in time. The course has been there probably longer than any homes. And we have a lot of respect for it, and so, but any issues on that end, I'd be happy to address, so.
I think we have a similar kind of setup at Brookside. I mean, they sell alcohol on their course, and I don't think there have been any difficulties with it. Okay, any other comments from the public? We did get, 5 letters to support. There were some letters that were, questions, but we did also get letters of
We
support.
addressed those, most of them
We
were
had 5 of
kind of.
support and 2
Yeah.
opposed.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of concerns were about litter, I thought, a few of them.
yeah. I don't see anyone on Zoom that wants to speak. Is there anyone else in the public? Okay. At this point, the licensing authority will deliberate on the application. I'm not closing the public hearing record at this time. That way, if the deliberations identify additional questions or information that we need from the applicant, we'll be able to receive those answers or information into the record for our deliberations. Are there any comments from the board? Any concerns?
We've addressed those.
Okay.
Are you all ready to proceed to close the hearing and take a vote?
Yes.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, on the motion to close the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the application for an annual all alcoholic on premises license alteration of premises for Pecasset Golf Course, Inc. Motion 4.
Second.
Oh, do you not have this? I thought they gave it to everybody.
No.
Here's your
No,
motion.
I don't.
Sorry.
That's right. Move to approve the application for the alteration of license premises of the annual all alcohol license held by Pocasset Golf Course for the reasons stated by the select board during this hearing, and further to authorize and direct the town staff and town council to prepare correspondence memorializing the same for transmission to the applicant and to the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next public hearing is for the Sagamore Inn. Under the general laws of Chapter 138 and 140, as the licensing authority, the Bourne Select Board has received an application from KPP Inc. to consider an alteration of licensed premises and change of DBA for an annual all-alcohol license. I hereby open the public hearing for that application. As the first order of business, I am entering into the record of this public hearing a copy of the legal notice provided by the town for this public hearing. As a second order of business, I am entertaining into the record of this public hearing a copy of the application and supporting materials provided to the town of Bourne dated April 1st, 2024. Having taken those actions, I will now open the floor to the applicant who may speak concerning the application. Is there someone here representing Sagamore Inn?
I am Suzanne Bilodeau. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can,
Suzanne,
Sue.
Welcome.
Yes, I'm on Zoom. We are looking to rebrand the Sagamore Inn and change the name from the Sagamore Inn to the Sagamore. The inn part of it, a lot of times has people confused, thinking that we're not a restaurant with a bar, and that we are just an inn. So a lot of people continue to drive by us.
Oh,
Makes sense.
okay.
One can understand that.
So it's basically just a name change. They're dropping the inn.
Well, I hope the food doesn't change.
So there was something about alteration of licensed premises. Is there no alteration of licensed premises? Is there anything?
Alteration of the name for the premises still falls under that.
It says alteration of licensed premises. Was there some other thing, some other aspect that was being changed for the premises?
No, we're just dropping the name from the Sagamore Inn to the Sagamore.
But the name covers the premises, so that's why it's probably under that.
Okay,
Yeah, it's on the
okay,
license.
It's just a corporate name change.
okay. So,
May I
yes,
speak to that?
yes.
It's my understanding that the current licensed premises includes, rooms up above, and those are being removed. Is that correct?
So there's never been rooms above, those are, that have been apartments. We have two, one, the second floor is a 2-bedroom apartment, and the third floor is a 1-bedroom apartment.
And the current license includes those apartments as part of the licensed premises?
So when I originally did this, I had help from the board of us at the town hall, and that's how it was written. So we are just changing it to make it more clear.
But I think what Marlene's saying is that
That's the change of the premises.
were those originally in part of the Sagamore Inn, where so alcohol service was allowed there, and now it's part of the apartments, and then the alcohol service is not allowed at the apartments? Is that what we're saying?
So Nancy Sudman wrote this for us back many years ago. There has never been alcohol served in those apartments. Those are year-round rentals that we have. Again, a floor above the restaurant is a 2-bedroom, and the floor above that is a 1-bedroom.
But there is no service going to those apartments. There's no
No.
waitresses bringing alcohol up to those apartments. There's nothing being served up there.
So Marlene, is that what the alteration is to remove those from the,
Yes, that's to remove the text from the licensed premises description.
so the new license premises description is approximately 35 square feet, main building with 3 dining rooms and bar, 3 restrooms, front, rear, and side, outside decks, kitchen and kitchen prep room, walk-in cooler, 6 entrances, exits, indoor seating capacity 140, outside driveway and lawn area adjacent to the building with a 46 by 86 foot tent for dining functions, bar, and 2 restaurants, outdoor seating capacity 45. So I think that's what the alteration of premises is. It is removing those apartments that should no longer be listed as part of the premise.
Okay then.
Correct. As far as the liquor license goes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay.
We're also changing the name.
Yeah, the name is, it's alteration of licensed premises and change of DBA.
All right.
So they're both are included. Of the annual alcohol license held by KPP Inc.
That's gonna say, yes. And it's just gonna be doing business as the Sagamore.
Change DBA of the annual alcohol license held by, change of the annual alcohol license held by KPP Inc. to the Sagamore. I think we should state that in the motion.
Correct, correct.
For the reasons stated. Okay. All right then. Is there anyone from the, I'm going to open the floor to the public comment. Is anyone here to speak on this license?
I don't see any hands on the
I don't see
screen.
any
I think
hands.
you're
I don't
good.
see anyone on here in the public. So is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay. I thought you guys all got this, so here's your license, and just add to the Sagamore here so it's clear.
Move to approve the application for the alteration of licensed premises and change of ZBA of the annual all alcoholic license held by KKP Inc. for the reasons stated by the select board during the hearing, and further to authorize and direct the town staff and town council to prepare correspondence memorializing the same for transmission to the applicant and the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission, and this will include deletion of the two housing units upstairs.
Yeah, and I'm not sure you even have to say that, it's the alteration of the present, because it's now in the new description.
That's my motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay,
Thank you, Suzanne.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the public hearing for the all alcohol on-premise common victular license, alteration of premises per Bofas Angor's Stir Crazy. We do not have a complete application for that, so we need a motion to continue the public hearing to May 14th, 2024.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Next, we are moving to the continued public hearing from April 1st of 2024. Requested name change for Perry Avenue, Cape Side only, 2 Stones Throw Way. So, I'm going to, I think I'm gonna ask our public safety people, or maybe Maybe we could start by having the explanation of the safety concerns by the applicants made, so the chiefs can hear what your concerns are, and then they can talk about how they address public safety, not just for this road, but for other disconnected roads in the town of Bourne.
Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us back. I'm Amanda Bilodeau. This is Tom Bilodeau. We live on County Road, and the property of which we speak is 37 Perry Ave, where we're building. We're almost done, actually, so it's been a crazy ride. What?
A long process.
Oh, yeah. So this concern came up a while ago, where we realized it's like, well, we're building on this road that exists. It's always been this way. Perry Ave. And Perry Ave, what we know as Perry Ave, is the one that's on the other side of the bridge, that town hall's on, that, everything's buzzing over there. So whenever we tell anyone that we're building there, they're like, oh, you're building next to the town hall? Are you by the town hall? We're like, no, we're on the other side of the bridge. Oh, where? I'm like, by the baseball field. Where's that? So no one really knows, where Perry Ave on the south side is, or at least the vast majority of the people that we talk to. So it's also translated in when we've had pretty much all of our contractors, anyone making deliveries for the property has ended up on the other side of the bridge. We had the log company from South Carolina, or was it North Carolina? We're building a log cabin. They from North Carolina, everybody was at the property waiting for them to arrive, and they called us and they said, we're here, and we were like, where? We don't see you. Oh, we're here, we're by, and then they said the town hall, I believe, right? Yes. And we were like, no, that's not right. So he had to, you can imagine a huge truck, 18-wheeler that has all this logs, they had to do a 15,000 point turn to get out of that nook and get back over to the other side of the bridge to deliver. So that was just one of many examples where we've just had to have constantly, no, you're going to have to go over the bridge again. And so it's just been a gruesome, arduous process anytime we have anyone coming to 37 Perry. So with that said, we said, what would be a great idea is if we nodded to the history of Bourne, because obviously we're building right in the historic area of Bourne. If we nodded to something that has to do with the history of Bourne, but also differentiates and distinctively makes our street, so that if we ever had an emergency, we wouldn't have to worry that you guys ended up on the other side. And I realize GPS exists, but we've had several situations where people have punched in 37 Perry Ave and they've ended up on the other side of the river. So it's one of those things where, as a mom, as a new mom, I have a stepdaughter, she's 8, but I also have my own child who's 1.5. And he is chaos, he's Dr. Destructo, so he falls and hurts himself all the time. And I'm just thinking to myself, one of these days, God forbid, if he hurts himself and I need first responders immediately there, and there's an issue with them finding us, I would be so heartbroken. It's a matter of minutes. So Stone's Throw Away came about. Sorry, allergies are kicking my ass. I'm also, public speaker shy, sorry. So we came up with Stone's Throw Away because and I said this before, it's prismatic. There's many different reasons why we chose that. Stone, because Bourne Stone lives at the Patuxent Trading Post. It's in the Historic Center. It's this huge slab of stone that has been in possession of the Historic Society for, I don't know, since the 1930s, something like that. And it has all this hieroglyphic, like nobody's been able to decode it. It's just this huge mystery. So we were like, oh, that'd be cool to throw stone in somehow. Stone's Throw it's because we're a stone's throw from that baseball field. We're a stone's throw from the canal. We're a stone's throw from the Patuxent Trading Post. We're a stone's throw from where he grew up, from where I grew up. It just made sense. And then there's also the play on words like stone's throw away, stone's throw away. So we just, I don't know. We thought it was really cute, and we've had a lot of great feedback from it. But the main point is we want something distinctive. We want to be separate from Perry entirely. We respect the history of Perry Ave, the bridge that was there, the drawbridge. It's no longer, and the bridges that we have today are being taken down. We're building new bridges. So it's just, time is passing. And we are ready to make a change. And we think that it would help us out public safety wise. For across the street, we have baseball. Every single time we're there building, across the way we have a game going on. They are constantly having games over there. And so just imagine if somebody has an accident there. And it's like, oh, go to Perry Ave, and then you end up on the other side. Like, I just don't want there. I would rather be safe than sorry. Make the decision now, because never before until now have we had a residence on this side or on our side. This is the only residential house that's been built on Perry Ave South Side. So never before until now have we had this concern or needed this concern. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
And I know you talked about it actually last time, about there's roads around here, we have the same issue in Wareham that, you know, might be the same road, but you can't pass all the way through it.
There's a bypass in the middle.
Yeah.
There's a river running through it.
So I wanted to have our public safety here, people to talk about how they know that and how they manage it and how they know where your house is when your house is built, so.
Yeah, I was trying to, I mean, we run into the same issue in Wareham, because I work for Wareham, and, I mean, there's
He's a
been
cop.
times I've responded, you know, I don't know where it is, you GPS, and it's like, oh, I gotta back up and go all the way around now, because I can't cut through here, and, I know everything's like GPSed on, you know, 911 systems and all that, but,
And there's the argument of, well, oh, there's 3 Valley Bars roads, you know, look what we have to deal with. But you guys don't have a canal that you have to cross over in order to get to the right address. Like, it's different than the roads that have the same names on the same side of the bridge. Like, if I ended up at 10 Valley Bars and it's the wrong one, I can just scoot over to the other side of that road and be there on time. Whereas, like, with this bridge, and especially with everything going on, it's like we don't know if there's going to be egregious mistake and like a person ends up on the other side and then we have to wait for them. Like, it's just, it's not that I don't have faith in first responders. It's mostly just there is room for error. Like, people aren't perfect, and you know, it just happens to be the thing that we want to have happen. Like, it's very important to us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Who would like to speak first? Chief Isep, we'll start with you.
Thank you for that, Chief Isep, Bourne Police Department. So just to talk a little bit about how we actually dispatch, one of the benefits of having local dispatchers in the police department, all 911 calls, all communications come into our police department. Our dispatchers are very well aware of which side of the road, the side of the bridge, certain addresses are at. When a new address is created in town, that gets communicated, put into our system, they're aware of that. Doesn't mean that the general public is aware of that. So I can definitely see that if there was a visitor to the area and they say, I'm on Perry Ave, and they don't know the south side versus the north side, that's information that we have to collect from them. That's usually collected from the call is being made from a 911 call, and the GPS pinpoints exactly where the call is coming in from within feet. And our dispatchers are aware of how to dispatch out to that. But I can see how a name change could be beneficial to visitors to the area. I would just be concerned, there is another property on that road. I believe it's owned by Eversource, and it would be interesting to know the feedback. Would there be any impacts, ramifications to having this street name change to their business practices if that address property is even being used? But I hope that answers how we utilize. As you get to more on the county level, you could come into where somebody's not familiar with the road. But all 911 calls come through our dispatch center right over at 35 Armory. We have 6 dispatchers that are very familiar with the roads in town. So I'm very confident in them getting to your house.
So Chief Isep, when, and because other people have asked about this, about some of the other situations. I mean, we have roads that are split by the bypass. We have roads that are in different sections.
Washington, right.
You know, so there are some roads where if it's split by the bypass and then you have to go around, I mean, it isn't the same as going around the canal, but you have ways of knowing which numbers or at what part of the location of a road?
So our CAD system, which is, you'd think it'd be this fancy system, it's a older style computer system, but it's very
It's a text-based system that will go out to the cars and display on the screen based upon the street address that we're dispatching them to. And there's basic instructions on there of what the nearest cross street is. And we put notes in there when there's stuff like a bypass that separates it, when it's on the south side of the canal. There's more concern I have when there's roads that you have a road that is a canal road, canal street. That sometimes becomes difficult for people to relay the correct information to us because they call everything a road. And then getting that information accurately is sometimes difficult. So, I hope that answers any questions you might have, but
Good.
otherwise I'll defer to my...
Okay, Chief Cody.
Good evening. So as Chief Eapsip said, the police department is the public safety answering point. All the 911 calls come through the police department. If it is a fire or EMS call, it then gets forwarded to the sheriff's department, which is the regional department he spoke about. The sheriff's department, I spoke to John Brew today. He's the assistant director of the communications department out there again. Their whole dispatch CAD system is basically fed through the Mass GIS system. They get all their information from there. Again, some of them may not live in Bourne or work in Bourne. They are regional. That's where we'd hope if there was ever any issues, they have the correct information, and your dispatchers, if there was some nuance that they weren't aware of, your dispatcher would pass it on. That being said, if there were to be a name change, it would not affect our operations. What would have to happen, I've talked to Tim Lydon today, engineering. What he would have to do is just basically contact Mass GIS, give them the new street name, and then that would eventually be forwarded back to the sheriff's department. And in the meantime, they would make just a manual annotation in their system while they were waiting for that to be uploaded to the sheriff's department. So I don't believe a street name change would affect our operations.
Do you feel a street name is necessary for your operations to adequately respond to public safety concerns there?
I don't think it's necessary. As we talked about, we have 3 different roads split by the bypass. We have 2 Carver streets in town, a couple of Maples. We have how many streets that begin with the word canal? We can still figure it out. So I don't think it would, I don't think either way it's going to affect our operations.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone from the public that has additional comments? I see Neil, and I don't know if he wants to speak.
Yeah, he sent a letter on behalf of the Historic
Yeah.
Commission.
So, we did get a letter from the Bourne Historical Commission dated April 28th regarding the Perry Avenue name change. This letter is in reference to the article in the Enterprise dated April 26, 2024, regarding Perry Avenue name change. The Select Board has passed a motion to continue the hearing to the board meeting on Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. The Bourne Historical Commission would like the Select Board to delay it further until after our next meeting on May 14th, 2024, so that we have a chance to discuss the name change and also to correct the historical data that has been presented in the newspaper article. So, I'm not sure whether the board has any comments or discussion, how they feel about where we should go from here. I do think we've had a number of letters that have had expressed concerns about the name change. I don't believe we've gotten any letters in support of the name change to Stone's Throw Way. Am I wrong about that?
I didn't see any.
Not specific to Stone's Throw Way, but definitely recommendations about different names.
Using a different
Using a
name
different
change. If we
name.
were going to do a name change,
Yeah.
to do a different name change. And that kind of puts us where we were at the end of the last meeting. I personally would give the Bourne Historical Commission an opportunity to weigh in on this and ask them not only to weigh in on the name change to Stone's Throw Way, but if they had any other comments on a name change, that if we are going to change the name, the process we have to go through is to have a public hearing listing the name we're going to change it to. So before we did that, if we were going to give an alternate name, I'd like to have their input.
Yep.
rather than us making a stab.
His microphone's off, so maybe he'll talk.
Neil, do you want to make a comment?
Basically, I think we would like the opportunity to research a little bit more before if we haven't met since this has come up. And so I don't really know what the feelings of the rest of the board is, but Phil have expressed the idea that we should review it and comment on it and possibly even make a recommendation. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that before the thing is finalized. From what it sounds like, it's not a one-night process that you just say, let's change the name of the street and all in favor, aye. That's you do a little bit more research and studying of it and make sure it's the right thing to do. I've actually lived in a town with a situation where the street I was on was a street and there was a road at the extreme other end of the town that people always going to when they were looking for people on my street. So it's something that needs to be addressed. We're also a GPS world, so a lot of the stuff has to be fed to the sources that the GPS companies use to keep their maps updated. So I think I'd like the opportunity to ponder it with the Historic Commission and come up with some comments, possibly some recommendations.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So you say you wanted to at least the 14th, defer to at least the 14th. I don't want to defer this too long after this because they've been waiting a while, and then if we drag, this is not a license to keep dragging it down the road. So realistically, how much time are you going to need, or do you think you'll have your research and the presentation done by your next historical commission meeting?
I would expect it to be done. I would like it to be done. It's not a book building thing. It's just comments and correcting the history of the street and the part of it that they consider a name change.
Okay.
So this is my suggestion. You can make a comment. My suggestion is if we're going to delay this to allow the Historic Commission an opportunity to meet, which I think we should. I mean, it's a historic name, and there's been a lot of comment about the history. We have limited meetings in May, so the 14th.
Have to be the 28th, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we don't meet on the 21st because it's election, so, but I'm thinking that if we move it to the 28th of May, which allows them time to comment and then get their comments to us,
Before then.
that we could have a 6:30 meeting of the select board
Done.
on the 28th before the sewer commissioners meeting, so that it's not a meeting that's going to be buried in another meeting, that we could kind of do it as a one-shot deal. Does that
Okay with that.
make sense?
Yeah, my only suggestion was to possibly vote to change the name contingent upon the name to be determined after.
Yes, set it up so that you have a second hearing,
Set it up so it's
So
not,
we
if it's gonna be a different name.
the contingent, right, with the name to be determined after consult with, the.
So when we explained it to us last time that on the name that's proposed, right, we have had a public hearing on changing the name to Stone's Throw Way. If we're gonna change it to any other name, we have to deny that and then post a new public hearing with the new name.
So this is just a continuation of that
Stone's
Stone's
Throw
Throw
Way,
Way.
Right, yeah.
right.
So we can't vote to change the name.
To
I mean,
something
unless
else.
you want to vote tonight to deny Stone's Throw Way and then have, start working up. And I think we should just wait and see. Maybe the Historic Commission would say that's a good alternate name. It's different. Maybe that's what they'll say. I say we just continue it to 6:30 on the 28th, right? And hear from the Historic Commission. They'll have time to have their meeting, get their information to us. People can know what it is, and then we'll go from there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Makes sense to me, I would appreciate it. You know, we're not gonna do, weeks of research on it. I can't anticipate not having an answer.
Yeah, so
Something.
we're gonna ask you to have an answer for us by the 28th. So
21st.
hopefully after your 14th, but if
By
you
the
need more,
21st.
the 21st.
That'll give us a week to get.
Amanda, do you want to speak?
Hello. Hi. As we mentioned last meeting, while we put a lot of creativity behind the choice of Stone's Throw Away, we will say it again, we're not hanging on that name, but what we have discussed as a family is we don't want Perry to be in the name at all. I think that would be like where we want to start, just because I don't want any confusion, like as the people that are going to be living on this street, like South Perry Ave or Perry Ave South, I think that just leaves a lot of room for confusion, not necessarily for first responders, but for anyone who's trying to find the street. It's just going to be a lifetime of confusion, especially with Perry Ave that exists on the other side. I think that we should consider something else. Historical Society, if they want to come up with something that's not Stone's Throw Away, but doesn't include Perry in some way, you know, I feel like we could collaborate on this and make it so that it's a universal decision and not, you know, just one person who decides.
I mean, I think the only counter I would say to that is a lot of the people that have commented really want to maintain the historic nature of the name Perry Avenue. So that, I think that's really the crux, that the
It's like old
compromise
Head of
is
the
more
Bay.
like.
We have old Head of the Bay, and then we have Head of the Bay Road. So
Yeah.
it's similar to that in
Right.
a way. It's what they're thinking. I think it's where
Yes.
people are coming from.
Yeah.
right?
But you're not losing the history. The history will always be attached to Perry Ave, and they'll always say, yeah, it used to go right across.
And town hall's on Perry
And town,
Ave.
and, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, and I think that's a good comment. Is Neil still on there?
Yeah.
I think that's a good comment for Neil to hear, that you are interested, if they're going to, you're interested in their comment on
Yeah,
what road they would support if there were a road change.
For sure.
So, I mean, I think that's the conversation we want to have. We don't want to do this too many steps at a time where
No.
we're back and forth. Let's,
No.
have the historic say, this is what they would recommend.
If they want to recommend all kinds of names, that's like perfect. That would be great. I mean, we came up with Stone's Throw Away on our own, but if there's some kind of historic option that they have that they think, oh, this would make more sense, let's hear it. Because that's our point, is we just want to have a distinctive road.
So the other piece of the question is the suggestion that Todd York had made about, continuing up Tuxet, so up Tuxet just keeps going around. There would be that little jog thing there that wouldn't be anything, and we'd have to figure out what we call that,
Not really. No, not
So
really.
Stone's Throw Away or something. But,
just an
so,
oddity in the
I
road.
think let's get the Historic Commission to think about it, and then we'll come back. And I want to get it as soon as we can and not have you sit through another 2-hour meeting.
All right, and just the other one more thing. I'm so sorry. I think we mentioned it last time. I just want to make it clear for those who are now listening. There's 0 Perry Ave, which is
Town-owned
N-Star.
It's an
Eversource.
Eversource property.
Eversource.
Right, but their driveway is on Uptuxet.
It's on
Right.
So we are the sole inhabitants of this street that are going to be affected by this name change. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great presentation, Amanda. Thank you. Danny Wang from, you know me. I'm Dad. I'm the guy that
Yeah,
built
you
the house.
need to introduce yourself.
Didn't make any money at it, but I built
You do
the
need to
house.
state your name, though, so.
Danny Wang,
There you go.
65 Cliff Road. First, thanks to the police chief and the fire chief for hanging in there. It was a long meeting. Sorry about that.
You're dismissed.
But, one of the names that came up too was just simply extending Abtuxet Road around the corner and down to the 5 corners. That's stupidly simple. And it just, to me, it makes sense. I mean, not Abtuxet extension, just extend the road,
Right.
Abtuxet. And they'd have to pick up a number. I went down there the other day, and there are a couple of houses that, the Abtuxet Village is sort of its own entity. They have their own
Right.
numbers. But as far as the street goes, there are only canal side properties there. There are two or three properties with dirt roads going to them.
Yeah, but so I drove it, I went and drove it, so when you come around Uptuxet.
Yeah.
And you come to Perry Avenue, if Uptuxet was to continue, there is still a connector that has to get you to the other ships.
Ships Way.
Yeah,
Ships
so,
Way, yeah.
so I think we kind of have an idea, like where we're going. I think Historic Commission is asked to have input. I think we give them input, and we see again at 6:30 on the 28th.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, John, did you make a comment? Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I did want to suggest that it would be a good idea for Amanda or somebody representing the applicant to attend the Historic Commission meeting, especially since she put forward that they weren't wedded to the Stone's Throw Way. If there's discussion of different names, if they could participate in it, and that would really help everyone do their homework better.
Communicate, yeah.
Hearing. So I would encourage them to attend that hearing. Since I was one of several people, I think, who suggested just continuing the Uptuxet name, I want to second Danny Wing's idea that you don't need extension on there. You don't need more extensions in our town. That's confusing. It could just be part of Uptuxet Road. But as Mary Jane pointed out, there is a little spandrel, is the architectural term for a leftover piece of the road. And I think it's up to the town to figure out how to solve that creatively. I like the idea of calling that Stone's Throw Away. But anything that you can do to make that work. And I would also point out that the N-Star property, although it is currently given a 0 Perry Avenue address, its driveway enters onto Uptuxet Road, and since it's a 0, I don't believe there's too much trouble with changing that over. I'm just going to throw this out there right now. I've been trying to bite my tongue and not mention how important that property is to the future of our town. If N-Star ever decides to sell that, and they sell it to a private entity and our town doesn't get an opportunity to purchase it, it would be a disaster, I think, to our town. The value of that property to our town in the future is large. I won't go into the details, that's a different agenda item. But that N-Star property is not to be overlooked as something insignificant. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comment on this issue tonight? So can we have a motion to continue
So moved.
Second.
to May 28th at
May
6:30? Who was that? Motion second?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay, Neil, we'll wait for your report.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, next item, consent agenda. Bourne High School Spike Club Car Wash at Fire Station 4 Pecasset, and Community Building on 8/25 with the rain date of 9/1. Annual Monument Beach Civic Associates Ice Cream Social at Fire Station 4 Pecasset on 7/16. Appoint of community special officers Olivia Berry and Bradley Fitzpatrick. And then item D, we have a correction on that. Appointment of Patty Parker to the Educational Scholarship Committee with a term date ending June 30th, 2026. It's a 3-year term she's completing. Authorize the expenditure of Chapter 90 and RAP funds under the jurisdiction of the DPW Director for pavement markings, traffic signs, guardrail repair, and partial depth pavement patching. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Oh, don't leave.
Why not?
Uh-oh.
How could he possibly be?
Yeah, one more. Discussion and possible
It
vote.
was all ready. We should have let it, we were close.
Discussion and
Should've left
possible
what you
vote.
had.
Should have left before the consent agenda. Discussion and possible vote to allow a brief closure of a section of Main Street to allow for ribbon cutting ceremony for the opening of the new Veterans Resource Center on May 7th as conditioned by departments. Is there someone here to speak to this road closure from?
Yes, ma'am, this is Harold Skelton. I'm the founder and president. How are you?
I'm good, Harold. You could talk to us about your need and why you feel the road closure is important. And for how long? It's like a 15-minute road closure, right?
I don't even think we really need that much, to be honest. So basically what we're doing, opening up our resource center, is kind of a half fundraiser too at Mahoney's afterwards. But during the ribbon cutting, we're gonna have about 125 that are gonna be there, maybe plus, because not everyone's gonna go to the party afterwards. So I wouldn't expect too much more, but anywhere from like 120 to maybe like 140. And the problem is, because where the resource center is on the sidewalk, we kind of had like a pretty special occasion. We have a flyover by the Old Air Force Base, the Coast Guard, while a Broadway singer sings the national anthem. She was an actress in The Sopranos and all that. You guys would know who she is if you ever watched it. But our concern is that people may have to stand on the other side, so if cars are going in, it might not sound good for videos. We have like a photographer, so we kind of want to just maybe cut the street off right before Academy, so maybe the maritime people could still get out, and then I believe it's Wallace, because then people could still take the parallel road, to divert traffic up to the rotary to go to Wareham, or vice versa, to go back to the other rotary to head towards Pleasure Bay or 495. So like I said, we can make it a short. It's more just the people can kind of stand there and look, and then we'll get off the road immediately after the ribbon cutting. We're not planning any huge long ceremony, so that's kind of where we're at, to see if that's a possibility.
So, that's why I asked you to stay. Could you speak to like what your ideas, what your vision of this is? I'm not, I think I'm lost by.
Your battery did.
So for the time frame, I think that we could accomplish it. It's even a 15-minute closure, it takes longer than that to make sure the road's clear. So we have to just plan for that. If it's and then we'd have to have the police details to block the road off. That would have to be covered.
Yeah, is it like a detour? I mean, is he saying that there can be like a sort of a detour thing, temporary detour?
You should be able to detour around this with heading in the back way. But it just matters of making sure we have officers on both ends, the cruisers. And then I think more so would be, this is a private event, and how the town wants to handle road closures for private events and how those get fairly addressed across the way. So the other events that we generally close the roads are public ones. So
right.
I just want to be fair about everything.
True, yeah.
So, but this is like, this is really for the ribbon cutting part of the ceremony, which, I mean, there's like, my recollection is that there's a period of open house, where you're going to have, and then we're going to come out and do the ribbon cutting. Then you're going to go into the private event thing. So if there can be good communication about exactly when this road closure, it's only going to be for the ribbon cutting part of the cemetery, where ceremony where the flyover is and stuff. I mean, I think we're good.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm sorry, I thought it was a question, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, if the board allows this, we can definitely communicate, and I would just want a definitive time that we are pretty locked into, so that we can share that information with the public, let them know they can take an alternate way and not get stuck in it if they have to head someplace. And we have a pretty good way of sharing that out on our signboards and public messaging.
I think the important part is like you said, it is a private event that we're closing the road for. And I think the very short amount of time that it will be, I think that really makes the difference.
I mean, this isn't like a 2-hour closure for a
Right.
wedding or something where,
Correct.
we have to make sure that there is emergency access.
We will get similar requests for, well, not similar requests, we get requests to close roads for block parties and stuff.
Right.
And this, I think, is different from that.
It's totally different.
So-
This is just like, we need 10
Well, it's
minutes.
Main Street.
Yeah.
But it is a main road.
I think it's a good cause. I mean, I think it's a good cause, so I think it's
I think the
worthwhile.
short time frame is
It's
the-
coming up though, so the event is May 7th, so you have to be in communication with the chief and understand that they're responsible for the detail costs, right?
They would be
Yes.
responsible for the detail costs,
Yeah.
that's correct.
So,
That's fine, whatever we
yeah.
need to do, we'll get it done.
okay. So, can you be in communication with the chief, like, tomorrow, or?
He sent me an email already, so we'll reach out on that.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the brief closure of a section of Main Street to allow for ribbon cutting from 1:20 to 1:40 PM on May 7th.
What? No, it's not 1:20 to 1:40.
Well, that's what he said.
No, it's
No,
11.
no.
What time is your ribbon cutting's at?
11:45.
All right, that's fine. I guess went by what he said earlier, but.
Yeah,
that's-
no, it's
1:45 to 12.
45
Because
for
12
noon.
o'clock is the start of the private event
Yeah.
thing, so 11:45 to 12 o'clock. I think that's what we have for the ribbon cutting.
Yep.
We'll kind of do by maybe 11:30, we'll start gathering the majority, which I'm sure most people are, who knows how many will come in early, but we'll try, I'll have plenty of volunteers to direct people, to maybe stay over on that other side on the grass by the flagpole at the Chamber of Commerce, and then when we shut the road, we can get everyone working, so we don't really have to inconvenience anyone for too long. With the flyover, it's pretty special, so we just want to make sure, like, when the best part's happening, like a car ain't driving by, we can't get the picture.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Okay,
So the motion is to approve the application with the time of 11:45 to 12 noon.
okay.
Seconded?
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous.
yeah, thank
Good
you.
luck with your
Thank you, Harold.
event.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you all on the 7th.
Thank you.
There for the ribbon cutting, yep.
Possibly.
It's a
Okay.
special time. It's a great resource for our community, so we're working hard to make it really special for, Buzzards Bay. I'm a resident right down the road myself. I live in Maple Street, so I love this community, and I'm glad I can give something special to it for veterans still struggling. So thank you so much for allowing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, next, discussion and possible vote to allow High Point Prevention Services to host a mental health awareness event at Buzzards Bay Park on May 11th as conditioned by the departments.
So move.
Seconded?
Motion by Peter, second by Jared. Any concerns, Marlene? This is good.
Should be all
Good.
set.
It is in order.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Next, discussion and possible vote to allow Boston Church of Christ to host a church service and walk at Buzzards Bay Park on May 19th as conditioned by departments.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. All is in order?
It is.
It is. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you. So, first, I'd like to thank Chief Cody for 30 years of exemplary service to the town and the fire department. The chief has announced his intention to retire on July 5th, 2024, and we will all sincerely miss him. As many of you know, we said farewell to Mr. Chris Southwood today, and we wish him the best in his future endeavors. Ms. Emily,
Bakayaki.
thank you. I look at her name, but then I forget how to say it when I have it in front of me.
It's tough.
Has stepped up to serve as the acting DNR director while we continue the process for making the permanent appointment. That posting will close very shortly, and we are receiving strong interest in the position. I'm happy to inform the board that we have received a large candidate pool for the vacant facilities manager position. We're in the process of reviewing those applications and will start interviews very soon. The police and fire department, along with the Substance Free Coalition, has staged a car crash with the school department The vehicle will remain on the school grounds all week to stimulate conversation regarding the risks of drunk driving and distracted driving. Mass Development, in partnership with Joint Base Cape Cod, will be hosting 2 open houses on Wednesday, May 8th, regarding potential redevelopment of some of the land on JBCC. The first open house will be from 2:30 to 4 p.m. at the community building. The second open house will be from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the JBCC Welcome Center. Mass Development has also created a website for the project at jointbasecc.com, where people can sign up to receive updates and leave feedback on any proposals that are developed. MassDOT will be hosting an in-person open house on May 13th at the community building, with sessions both in the afternoon and the evening. We will share MassDOT's promotional materials when we receive them for the event. Tim Lyden and Stevie Fitch are working hard on a number of fronts to improve the stormwater and wetlands functions in the town. The Puritan Bog Coastal Wetlands Restoration Project was recently awarded $338,000 in federal grant funding for modeling, design, and permitting to restore 15 acres of retired cranberry bogs and reestablish title exchange at the site. They are also kicking off a green stormwater demonstration project in the Queen Sewell neighborhood with the DPW. And we will have more details to share about those efforts soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is minutes, the minutes of April 2nd and April 9th. Any motions?
Motion to approve the minutes of April 2nd, 2024, and April 9th, 2024.
Second?
Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. Committee reports?
I don't have a,
go ahead.
you go first.
No, I just wanted to update real quick. I haven't done an update on the Human Rights Commission in a while. They're really working the last couple of weeks. I've gotten a lot of emails. They're really trying to find better ways to promote what they do, what we do in the committee with the towns. And they did mention, possibly including the town administrator and maybe some of the town administrators throughout the Cape in the process. So I don't know how it looks yet. It's just the conversations that are started, seeing how we can better serve human rights in each of the, the specific towns. So not every town has a representative either, it's a liaison. So we're working on that. So that's it.
Anybody else?
Yes, but I'm gonna ask for a little discretion because I apologize for not being here at the beginning of the meeting. I just want to make a comment that recently a former town planning board consultant of.
We already talked about that.
We talked about Phil. I apologize then. I mean,
Yeah, we hit that one.
Yeah, it's just that if any, I know the impact that he did on this community as a 16-year planning board member, and then I kept in contact with him up to about 3 months ago when he got too sick to do anything. He did a lot to this community, and it shows, and he'll definitely be missed, but I know from personal experience, by the end of the planning board meeting, when he would come every month, I felt like we were going to an MIT class because he was an MIT professor. So, and he would test us the following month and say, "What did you learn?" And he would come at me most of the time, making sure I did my homework. So I mean, but his impact in this community will be, he won't be forgotten. So I just wanted to get that out there. So thank you guys in advance. Well, thank you for a board in advance for saying something.
Correspondence?
Sure. Select Board's correspondence for April 30th, 2024. A, DEP letter, excuse me, proposed plan DOD property, MRS Old Grenade Courts. B, DEP letter, J2 range, Eastern EMR 2022 and 2023. C, DEP letter, Uniform Federal Policy Quality Assurance Project Plan 2024 update. D, Upper Cape Tech School Board minutes of March 14th, 2024. And E, Upper Cape Tech budget meeting minutes from March 14th, 2024.
Future agenda items. I have an updated tracker thing, which I'll send out so people have an idea. We have a lot of things coming up, so, and the meetings, the next couple meetings, since we don't meet that much in May, are gonna be kind of packed, so. Next meeting date's May 6th, prior to town meeting, and May 14th, and then there's no meeting on May 21st.
It's my birthday. Go figure.
Ooh, yay.
Yeah, but you gotta come vote.
I get the night off, don't I?
So I don't think we have too much before the town meeting, so I'm gonna say maybe 6:30, but we'll, that should be enough.
Yeah.
We do have to vote the election workers, but I don't think we don't have any really outstanding town meeting business, so that should be fine. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Seconded?
Anne Marie.
Third.
Motion by Anne Marie, seconded by Sharon.
Yes.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.